Hello, hello, and welcome along to episode 23 of Sogravia, the last Bastion. This thing below me says that they're level 8. They're not. It'll get fixed at some point, I'm sure. In the meantime, however, we'll do a small recap of last session. Last session, you went to the caves of Rocker Sunderdown, the nasty bandit, and Shadowhunters leader. You took him on in his stronghold using the Gutbuster Brigade led by Torgar Hammerstriker, attempting to bring them down. It was a tough fight, but you came through victorious, and you managed to kill them all, with the exception of Rocker Sunderdown, who appeared to disappear, saying to Obi, "I always come back," and you saw that he was a lich, and then he vanished with a vendetta against Obi. But
we'll get him next time.
Well, we being a collective Shadowhunters term, but probably not including Zavrel, because Zavrel picked up a Darkstone that then crumbled into dust in his hands, and he got black in his fingers, and now he's infected in the soul. We tried to remove Curse, we tried Lesser Restoration, nothing happened. And Starling said that she'd seen this sickness once before, and she suggested that she took you to the Sanctuary of the Sisterhood to have it looked at. Torgar thanked you greatly for re-inspiring him to lead, and although he is not currently taking back the mantle of War Commander for the Knight Defenders of the Dawn Guard, ding ding, round 2, he is taking back over the Gutbuster Brigade and is prepared to lead them forward. With that all being said and done, we left off with Starling literally about to use her ring to create a teleportation circle on the ground for you all to use to go back to the Sanctuary of the Sisterhood. And that is where we pick up, right there. Is that what we wish? Just to straight up, just go now? Do the things?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, nobody wants to do anything else in the caves. Nobody wants to say anything else to Torgar before he leaves. I think you guys had a little chat with him before you left.
Yeah, I said my piece.
Torgar, bye.
He waves at Obi. Okay. Well, in that case, that is where we're going. Straight there. As Starling casts upon the ground, you find yourselves arriving in what appears to be a courtyard. Once you step into the teleportation circle, you will step out into this beautiful area. And this courtyard is sort of nothing like any of you have ever seen before. There is this sort of white light coming down from the ceiling, but as you look up to the ceiling of this area, there is sort of like the courtyard looks like it should be outside, but as you look up, there's an actual white roof, and the light comes down from there. And inside this courtyard is a large mural or statue, effectively relief statue, on the wall, depicting a particular female figure who I don't think any of you would recognize. But if you want to give me a religion check, anybody who is proficient, and let me know. Anything comes up. Anybody got music? I've got no music.
I've
got no music.
Yeah, I have music.
I see. I don't have roll 20. Bear with.
Disregard that roll. I rolled it before you said if you're proficient, so I would not know.
Oh, it's been updated. They've got a new font. How exciting. Wow. Well, I'm having internet struggles. There is a storm going on outside, so if I randomly disappear, I'll return at some point. Yeah, as you arrive into this courtyard, it is completely still, and there is nobody here. Did I get a religion check from anybody who is proficient? Is anyone proficient?
I might be, actually.
I think you're the only one who is.
I'm proficient.
Cool. Give me a roll.
Good luck.
Obi, our man of knowledge.
12.
You've read of various gods, but to your knowledge, this isn't a god that is currently worshipped, certainly within Sogravia.
We're in the Shadowhunters. Kill him.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a conclusion to make.
Do I possibly still have bardic inspiration from the fight that I never used?
No. Starling sort of gestures around, and she's, welcome to the Sisterhood. I meant to get permission before I bring anyone here, but your need seems desperate. Please follow my lead. And with that, she heads up to this statue that you see right ahead of you, this bas relief. And she speaks a phrase. Does anybody speak Elvish for a start? Assuming Ashton
Yes.
does, at least.
I speak Abyssal.
Okay.
We all speak Sylvan now.
I speak Elvish, yeah.
We do all speak Sylvan now.
So anybody who speaks Elvish will hear the first half of the phrase, which is, sister, daughter, mother, I beseech thee. And then the second half of the phrase is in Celestial. Does anybody speak that?
Yo. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, right,
God,
Ashton's getting the whole phrase. Not that bad.
Wow.
And she repeats, except she says, Oh, excuse me.
Excusez-moi.
I think that's all.
Bless you.
I come in peace, I come in love, I come as a friend, she says. And as she says this, the sort of statue, there's a gold sort of light that shimmers around it, and the entire statue just fades out into nothing. And she leads you into a large hall. As you enter the halls, there are sort of...
Why doesn't our base do that?
Yeah, there are these sort of beautiful windows, but immediately you'll recognize that any view out of the window is an illusion. There's definitely no land that you know of that looks like that, and not only that, but the windows don't line up. Like it's raining out of that window, and it's not raining out of this window. You know, so you see that all the windows are
Listen, the
illusionary.
storm's just like right overhead. You're right in...
You do see a few people wandering by, looking hurried. You don't see any males at all. Everybody
I'm not
is
supposed to be here.
Everybody is female, and sort of suddenly running or rushing down the corridor towards you is a character, I guess is the only way of putting it. You see somebody coming towards you in a mask like this. It is sort of a gold mask, silver, and they have a hood up. And this very sort of gender neutral, no definition whatsoever voice sort of speaks out and says, "Why have you brought these people here? They are not permitted." And starting sort of bows really deeply, and I apologize, but the need was great. One of them has something we've only seen once before, and then she gestures to Zavrel and for you to hold your hand out.
Yep, I bought it.
And the sister sort of grabs the mask and pulls it off, and it is Kailana.
I knew you were going to say
in front, and she sort of... I don't know if the council will excuse this. Welcome, all of you. Zavrel, I'm so sorry. They will see you, but I don't know if they will keep you. Come, I'll lead you into the halls.
I hope not.
We must speak. And with that, she leads you along a corridor and round a couple of turns and into a really vaunted, large, great hall. Again, with these sort of classic white pillars on them. And she sort of leads you to stand in the center of what appears to be like a cascading pillar of light from the roof. And then sitting at each individually at a separate desk or table are 6 women, all wearing these masks. And she goes behind the 7th desk and places her mask on her face. And she turns to the others and says, "Council, before us are brought the members of the team that have named themselves the Shadowhunters, those that we beseeched to assist in the rise of Torgar." And then you hear another voice, and every voice sound identical. And you will note that the sisters who are speaking are sort of just touching their chin when they speak.
Magic.
Maybe, or just maybe it's a... Give me an insight check. Specifically Glacius. That's Zavrel.
Hell yeah. 10.
Okay. Yeah, it's magic. You think it's as they press their chin, it's sort of maybe it's amplifying their voice or making that strange voice come out. Zavrel, Obi, and Fox, the 3 of you. Oh, and Callum, all 4 of you know that it's just like some sort of gesture to indicate that they're going to speak next. There is absolutely no magic happening from their fingers touching their chin.
Guys, I think they're doing magic.
But Glacis is fascinated. But as you
Sure,
stand in the center of
Glacis.
as you stand in the center of the hall, you can't quite shake the feeling, especially those of you who are Dawn Guard inclined, that you are under some sort of trial or interrogation. And
Wait, so we get the feeling we are or aren't?
you are under
Oh, okay.
interrogation or under trial of some sort. But standing sort of slightly in front of you all, as if almost sheltering you, is Starling. And the woman who puts her fingers to her chin sort of looks over at Starling and says, "And why have you brought them here?" And Starling looks at her, and I believe we have one who has the plane of shadow within them. Like we saw with Orlea. The sisters sort of confer for a moment, and you see as they look at each other, they're probably communicating in a way that is excluding you.
Racist.
And then one of the sisters, sort of again with this sort of gesture, says, "And which one of you has this plane of shadow within them?"
I'll just uncover my arm, hold it forward.
I see. You've only just been infected.
Yeah, like 5 minutes
That is
ago.
fine.
There may be hope for you yet. That doesn't excuse you bringing them here. She looks back to Starling. And Starling sort of...
Aren't we working for you?
Yeah, and then another one sort of says, "That's besides the point." And then Kailana, who you remember where she sat, sort of says, "But is it? You know, they're an important part of our long-term plans." And then, yes, but to reveal such a secret place to those whose minds aren't shielded. And then Starling sort of says, "Well, I brought them through the teleportation ring, so they shouldn't really know where we are." And then Kailana sort of says, "We can go out the same way." And then one of the sisters says, "Enough." And she stands up and she walks down to the circle alongside you. And she begins to address you, sort of as if like looking at you one by one, again, sort of with this mask on. And she sort of stops for a moment before Fox. And looks at you as if canting her head, maybe in confusion, maybe in understanding. You can give me an insight check.
She sees dead people.
No, Fox is alive.
Okay, 17.
Yeah, you think maybe in recognition. She knows you in some way.
It's Sullivan's girlfriend.
Why would she stop in front of Fox? And then she carries on moving round and looks at each of you and turns back and is Torgar returned to power?
To the Gutbusters.
Disappointing.
He may rejoin the Dawn Guard in time, but for now he's at least putting himself to good use.
Then that must be our focus. Until Torgar leads the Dawn Guard again, there will be no forward forays into the Shadowhunters lands. These discussions are not for outsiders' ears. And then this, one of the other sisters steps forward and sort of begins to walk down to the dais. And you get the impression that when she's standing in the circle that you're all in, it's as if she's petitioning the other sisters. And she lifts her head and goes to take off her mask. And you hear another one of the sisters sort of, "No!" And she sort of ignores her completely. Pulls off her mask and greets you. She says,
Crikey!
And says, "My name is Solara, and it is to me that would fall the healing of your wounds." You would know the name Solara and recognize her. She is the daughter to the Queen of the Elves. And she sort of gestures to Zavrel and gestures for you to put your arm out. She looks at it critically and... A few months. A couple, perhaps. After that, there's nothing we can do for you.
Right, for time's of the essence. Is there something we have to do?
No. A few months is what I can buy you.
Oh, and then he dies?
Unless someone knows more than us. We've sent a couple of others to the heart of the Shadowhunters lands to find out how they keep their slaves alive.
Who was the one that this happened to before?
Oleia. She was one of ours. She was an escaped slave from the Shadowhunters lands. She said when they were there that the Shadowhunters came by and ministered to them in various ways. Drinks, magic, tonics, food.
What about the mage that just recently came back from the Shadow Veil? He would have had to have survived some way without the Shadow Veil's help.
From what we can tell, he was never infected. But why, we don't
Lucky
know.
him.
Where's Alea now?
She died.
6 feet under.
Oh no.
That was a
Said
few years
several.
ago.
Sparingly.
I
Should
think we can get 5 feet for him.
should we be concerned that they might weaponize this on a more on a larger scale?
Tell me the circumstances of your infection. And you guys don't need to describe it, because obviously we were all there and we all know what happened.
Phew!
But
I can
basically,
do it, Josh.
when it gets to the point that Zavrel says that he touched the stone, and it sort of imploded into a powder. Another one of the sisters sort of nods and gets up and starts walking around the outside of the circle, which means you don't think she's petitioning. She's just talking. Maybe she just likes to walk. Who knows? And as she
She's
walks, she sort
ADHD.
of. We definitely should consider that it could be weaponized, although, again, a discussion for another time. In the meantime, I think you could continue with your current mission for a while. Sister
Which is?
Solara, well, I don't know what business you're up to, but Sister Solara, when his time of death approaches, you could put him in stasis, could you not? She nods. I can keep you alive indefinitely until a cure is found, but it would be no life worth mentioning. The answers lie at the heart of the Shadowhunters lands.
I just want to say it because, what if we chopped off his hand?
I offered, but no.
Solara sort of almost smiles. She's a little... It's not so simple. The plane of the shadow is within him. It flows through his blood, but more importantly, it has leached itself to his soul. Cutting his hand off would upset him, I'm sure, but it wouldn't have any other effect.
What if he got, blessed at a church? Would that get it out of him?
She looks at you like you're an idiot and doesn't answer the question.
What if he's a born-again Christian? Does that help?
Yeah, as I said, she just sort of stares at you and she just rolls her eyes. And you'd have at least a couple of months before anything critical needs to be done, though you may find it weakens you over time.
Well, if stasis is required, could you do me at least one favour?
Well, we're not going to put you in stasis now, but go on.
No, but when the time comes.
Perhaps it could be discussed then, but go on, what is your favour?
That events within lands of significance or importance are at least chronicled, or I have some records, so that I can at least, after I'm brought back, become kept up to date on
Optimistic.
things that have happened rather than any unexpected surprises.
I'm sure somebody will keep a chronicle unless the Shadowhunters take over the whole land.
Well, Zavrel, you won't need a chronicle of it because we will tell you if it comes to that. However, did you
We've been talking
address?
for a long time, though.
Gonna address the Illuminati.
They're called the Seven.
Yeah. The
Seven.
Seven. Great, thank you.
That's right.
Kingdom Hearts all over again.
The
Seven.
I don't
doctors?
know anything about
Did you correct me if I'm wrong? But did you not briefly a moment ago say that you had thought that there might be a solution in the Shadowlands.
Yes.
That implies that we would survive the journey, so
Another one of the sisters steps forward, and as she goes to remove her mask, you just hear this sort of sigh, really? At the back, like, what is wrong with you people? Keep your anonymity. But she removes her mask, and you will see that she is Vidalcan.
Ooh.
And she sort of gestures towards you and says, my name is Nalik Laniv. I have travelled in the Shadowvale lands. You can just call her...
like, Nanika, who?
Nali Klaniv, but you can just call her Nali if you want.
Nani? Okay.
Nali, N-A-L-Y.
Nally, the fuck is this?
That's funny. Sorry, go on.
Yes, she says, my name is Nali Klaniv, and I've travelled in the Shadowvale lands a fair amount. I have seen the slaves, and they have the soul sickness, but they do not die. This infection of the soul, this plane of shadow within them. All the Shadowvale have it too. Go ahead, Obi.
Sorry to interrupt, but aren't we supposed to be working together?
We are working together, what?
So then why are you treating us like we're some nobody outsiders?
Nobody is treating you like you're not important, but you are outsiders.
You are. Why do you have to stay so secret from us? You can't remove your mask.
She gestures towards the fact that she's currently not wearing a mask.
No, I know you are, but everyone else is freaking out about it.
Some of our members move in society and would not want anyone else to know that they're members of the Sisterhood. Your minds are not shielded.
If they're ashamed, then they shouldn't be.
They're not ashamed. The Sisterhood hide their true purpose so that they are able to act outside of the factions that war within Sogravia. Whether that is the Magus Arcane, Dawn Guard, the Furian Guard, we have sisters here who work within those circles. If it was known that they were in the Sisterhood, and that the Sisterhood has serious purposes, we would become impotent, powerless.
Oh.
So she's, I mean, you've just seen that one of them is sort of the princess and the heir to the throne of the elves, right? If people realised that there was a faction that had this sort of important people on its council, then they would be struggling with all the same problems that the Magus Arcane, the Dawn Guard, and all those people are. The fact they work in secrecy is what has allowed them to succeed so far. She's sort of, and we're incredibly grateful for the work that you've done on our behalf. It is only the fact that your minds are not shielded that causes some of my compatriots to hesitate.
Nelly, would you be able to guide us in this Shadowlands?
I don't think you'd survive there right now.
There was something you said, or something that was said rather. Torgar, and with him being within a certain position of power, beginning excursions into the Shadowvale lands. Would this be something you require as a prerequisite before we can figure out what's going on with this? And I'll just gesture to the curse.
Your issues, your personal problems, she gestures towards your hand, have no bearing on the outcome of Sogravia. The importance of raising Torgar to the...
outcome of me though, so I would very much like this to be sorted out if I can.
She nods at you sort of like impatiently as if to say, yes, I'm making a point here, shut up. She'll tell you that becoming the general, getting Torgar to be the general of the Dawn Guard is because they want the Sogravian armies to attempt to push back, right? They've been slowly either holding a stalemate or giving ground, depending on whether it's at Van Harnia or Kabach, for the last 150 years. But when Torgar was the general, he would make attacks back and counterattacks and, lead people back against them. And in some ways, that's what the Furian Guard are arguing for as well. Like, we can't just defend indefinitely. At some point, we have to try and, push them back and actually fight to win, as opposed to not lose. And that, then she sort of gestures towards your arm, and that is a solely different problem. You could enter into the lands of the Shadowhunters now seeking an answer, but you might not find it, and you might not survive. I would recommend waiting as long as possible before making that excursion.
I understand. That does lead to an interesting calculus, shall I say. The critical point as such.
Well, at no point will you be able to make the
best
journey.
Prepared, and yet also a point where I would be at my weakest.
At no point would you be able to make the journey, Zavrel. Stepping into the Shadowhunters lands will be the end of your life, as you know it, at least.
Oh.
Your comrades might be willing to go on your behalf, but if you step into the Shadowhunters plains, well, you'll become one of them. Not a Shadowhunters. Your physiology won't change, but you'll be dependent on their lands, like they are. Returning to Sogravia would be beyond question. No, I suggest that you go out and seek as much information within the borders of Sogravia as you can, and continue on whatever it is the Shadowhunters wish to do. And when you can wait no longer, we'll place you in stasis, and when a kill can be found, a kill will be found. Until then.
How do you know what would happen if he went there?
It's not about what happens when he goes there, it's about what happens when he comes back. The Shadowhunters, they keep slaves, as we said. We've captured a few in the past. And they have a piece of the Shadowhunters within them. A reliance on the Shadow Plane, as if they consume something other than air, food, water. That keeps them alive as sustenance. Even the Shadowhunters that we've managed to capture, they need to return to their lands to survive. It is my belief that if Zavrel set foot in the deeper parts of their land, at least, that returning to Sogravia he would be lacking that sustenance.
Someone mentioned something about we don't have our minds shielded. What do you mean by that?
There is a process. She sort of nods towards you as if to say, you might actually know about this. But there is a process that one can go through that closes their mind off to being read by others. She's basically suggesting that you get a permanent ring of mind shielding. That's like, well, she's not suggesting you do, but suggesting that that's how their minds are shielded.
Well, if that's a concern and you want our help, surely that should be something we can do.
If you have the time.
I don't have the attunements on.
Me neither.
Obi raises his hand again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You can hold up his hand and show the ring of mind shielding that he currently has attuned to him.
Effective, though not quite in the same way.
So you lied again.
So okay, I can't explain this as her because I don't know. I don't know how to do it in character. Basically, what they do is they place a smaller shield over your mind that allows your surface thoughts to reflect those of just a normal person, with nothing of import, so that anyone who's using detect thoughts would actually be able to read your mind, but they wouldn't read what you really think. And whereas the mind shielding, they could just sense that they can't read your mind, at which point they could take the ring off. Right? If somebody takes the ring off of you, you're in the same situation.
Not necessarily. You can make the ring invisible, so they wouldn't know that it's a ring of mind shielding that's preventing it. Just a
These
thought.
are mages who are more capable than you guys. It wouldn't be that complicated to cast detect magic to find out where the shielding's coming from.
That's...
Yeah. Kailana sort of stands up and nods, and she steps down onto the dais, at which point Solara goes and sits down. Shielding your minds is an option, but perhaps not a very useful one right now. I don't think it's something that you would particularly want to undergo, and it is a waste of your time. Those sisters who wish to remain anonymous will remain anonymous, and at that point, you've got nothing to hide. You won't know the location of the Sisterhood Sanctuary, so there should be no other worries. Can we perhaps think about what you all wish to do? A journey into Mistralia is deadly for most. And whilst you have proved yourselves very competent, if it can wait, perhaps it should. Besides, there are many other tasks that you are currently partaking in that you might wish to continue with. And from what I understand, you mentioned Amin, the man who returned from the Shadowhunters lands. Speaking to him could well be worth your while.
Have you spoken to him?
Didn't we do that?
No.
We have a meeting?
We haven't met him.
No,
We
you
met
had
the
a meeting with
headmaster.
Rialdan that got moved forwards because you did cool things. Yeah, he said that you can talk to Amin whenever you want, if you can find him.
Where do we find him?
He suggested that he would be somewhere in Carthan. Go on, Josh.
Yeah, I didn't mean you specifically, sister. I meant any of the sisters.
We have listened to conversations that have been had with him.
Can you share what you've learnt with us?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. Another one of the sisters sort of puts her fingers to her chin and speaks. We are unsure that the man is trustworthy at all, or even whether he truly has come from Shadowhunters lands, and even if he has, his tales, many of which are interesting, are not always very helpful. He speaks of many years of hiding underground and travelling from place to place, seeking refuge, and his struggles on finding food and drink, and he might be able to assist you in surviving in the Shadowhunters lands, but as for answers, it seems like all he was trying to do was stay as far away from the Shadowhunters as possible. Many of our scouts have seen more of the Shadowhunters within their lands than this man did in all his years.
I mean, avoiding the Shadowvale seems to be a really useful thing.
Well, yes, unless you need to study them to find a cure for your soul sickness.
He'll be fine.
Will he? Oh, okay.
Well, I'm glad that's all sorted.
See you later.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Walk it off. Rub some dirt on it.
So she's basically saying, if you want to venture into the Shadowhunters lands and seek the cure that keeps the slaves alive, then you could do so immediately, but in Kailana's opinion, you might be better off at least making some preparations in advance.
I'd like a few more levels first.
Oh, levels. Yes.
How long of a process is the mind shielding?
With minds as apt as yours, it could take a couple of weeks.
A long time.
And is that
Then she sort of looks over at Callum, and if it even works.
And is that from sun up, sun down? 2 weeks? Like, what's the ritual process like?
I see. You're asking if you could do things in the meantime?
Yeah.
It depends on the individual. It is a process of combined meditation and magic. Perhaps for some of you it might take only a few hours a day, or even an hour a day. For some of you it might take substantially longer. Glacius, you'll probably take an hour or two. It's the complexity of the mind. It's the complexity of the mind that causes the delay, which is why she said specifically with Callum that it might not work.
Roasted. Yeah. My mind is like a motherboard now, way too complex.
Yeah, you've got both regular brain and auto no modification brain.
So, if it would potentially take longer for me as well to acquire shielding, how would this work with, you mentioned before, buying me time?
Yeah, they really haven't offered to shield your minds. They were just telling you the process. Like,
Oh.
they really did say, like, because you haven't seen the Four Sisters, who don't want to reveal their identity, they don't care. Like, you can go out and be
right.
you.
Okay.
In terms of buying you time, Solara sort of, we should get to that as soon as possible. Really as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then she sort of gestures towards her sisters. Anything else that is in need of discussion? Most of the sisters shake their head. Kailana sort of. Do you think you could continue with Torgar? Perhaps inspire him to greater deeds or higher heights?
He's
Us?
only just come out of retirement, for a lack of a better word. I'm not quite sure we can rush anything. It'll take some time.
Of course.
I would like to work with the Gutbuster some more.
But if you keep up the momentum,
Same.
you know, perhaps you keep him on an excited high, he might be more likely to accept.
Is the if you were so inclined to shelter our minds, does that decision need to be unanimous with all the sisters?
Guys, they're not gonna shield our minds. Stop asking.
She just thinks it's a waste of time. Like, why are you so desperate to get the mind shielding? Like,
Because it could be useful
for what?
against the Shadowhunters.
She sort
You're
of looks
thinking
at you for a
not just
moment
for the
and,
Sisterhood then, but for
if it was useful
outside
against the
as
Shadow Veil, then we would have recommended it immediately. I mean, they don't tend to read your minds. They tend to kill you and usurp your memories.
Then
It's,
why even mention it at all?
Because it isn't.
she
for
was
the
saying
Shadow
why
Veil.
she wouldn't why they wouldn't remove their masks. Because they want to remain anonymous so that you can't have your minds read by other people in Sogravia, like
but
the
it's
Magus
too-
Arcane.
Right, but it's too late now because we already know at least two of them.
And they don't care about those three. They care about the other four, who they've have remained
Well,
secret.
seems
that hard to
awfully
understand?
selfish. But that's fine.
Or they're in positions that they need to hide.
But don't care if the others get in trouble. That's fine.
Oh my god, it's because they are okay with it. They did it voluntarily. That's
Right.
why
So
Sullivan.
the thing is, Kailana is only a sister at the Sisterhood. She's not a princess. She's not a Magus Arcane member. She's not the queen. She's just her, right? So she has no reason to fear the fact that she works for the Sisterhood
Oh
being
yeah, I'm not
found
talking
out.
about her.
Right. You have no idea who Nalaklaneve is, but you can assume that she's also not somebody of
That's
import,
Zavrel.
right? He doesn't know who she is either. Like, none of you know who she is. She doesn't appear particularly like she's got a position of importance within the Sogravian world. And Solara is the heir to the throne of the elves, but maybe she feels like the elves already know she's part of the Sisterhood or don't care. Whereas, you know, if a member of the Magus Arcane was here or a member of the Furian Guard was here, then factions become a problem and yada yada.
That's fine. I just,
Yeah, okay. Move on from the mind shielding.
Thought it
They're
would
not
be-
We're not
really
doing it.
offering. Yeah.
Right, but can we all make a campaign note that this was the moment we agreed to let this go, and that in the future, if we do ever get kidnapped and they attempt to read our minds, which they will, and they get this information, we can look back at this note where I tried to push this, and everyone
Yeah.
agrees now.
Yeah, Callum's
Sure.
taking it down in the minutes, and we
Thank
will look
you.
back at this later.
Thank you.
If that's something
We
of,
won't know because his mind can't be read already.
if that's something you truly you truly wish to discuss and know about, perhaps we could discuss it at a later time. But in the meantime, unless there is pressing business, and she gestures towards Solara and towards Zavrel. They would like you to continue your efforts with Torgar. That's all they would like, the Sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
we can give it a shot at least, right?
Whilst your friend is being seen to, perhaps we could find reward for you for your excellent work with Torgar so far.
No
Did you just suggest that she rewarded you with mind shielding?
I didn't suggest anything. What you saw is what you
Can you
saw.
imagine? Can you imagine how you'd feel if Sullivan was to hang today? Your mind would be incredibly shielded if it didn't exist.
It's okay. There isn't much to shield.
We'll
The
put
most
your
shielding.
we'll chop your head off and put it in a lead box. Yes,
Wow.
perhaps we can find you some due reward. But for now, I believe the council is adjourned. And Kailana, Zalaknev, and Solara all put their masks back on, return to their seats, and then weirdly, once they've sat down, all 7 stand up, and then they sort of nod to each other and put their fingers to their chins. Meeting adjourned. And Solara sort of not only removes her mask, but also makes a gesture, and the weird, like, Sisterhood cloak that she was wearing disappears, and she's just wearing sort of standard traveler's leathers. And she will lead all of you into the healing halls.
I wonder if they are all sisters.
Given that one of them is Elven and one of them is Vidalcan, it's probably fair to say it's
They could have
unlikely.
been adopted, James. You don't know.
No, you weirdos! I meant women.
Ooh.
You said, I wonder if they're all
That's
sisters.
women.
The hell?
You said sisters.
Of course they're not all sisters.
Well, that's what we were thinking. As you enter the medics' halls, that question will be answered for you, Sullivan, as
I
you will
wasn't
see
asking
2
out
males
loud.
within... No, just in general. You will see 2 males within the medic halls. One of them is what appears to be a doctor or healer of some sort. He's sat at a desk with a heart that is beating in the middle of the desk on a
That's slightly
small
concerning.
board, and he is
Oh.
prodding it and poking it.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
What did you
I
mean?
meant like the 7. I wonder if all the 7.
All the 7
women.
are female. Okay, right. You don't know. Maybe you'll find out one day. But you won't find out
Maybe
right now.
someday.
If
But
I
that
do,
said,
I hope my mind shielded.
that being said, there is a male. There is a male healer here, and there is also a male guard on the door who sort of. It's a deep nod to you. And as each of you passes in, he sort of does this weird hand gesture, which is sort of like he's balling a fist each time that you come in. Like, it's a little weird. But yeah, you're all led into the healer's halls. And Solara gestures to Zavrel to go into a small separate chamber. And she looks over you all and gestures towards Fox and says, "Perhaps I might ask your assistance."
Yes.
The rest of you, unless you particularly despise your friend, I don't think you'll want to watch this.
Kind of do want to watch.
A morbid fascination.
There is a learning gallery up top.
Oh, I'm going up there.
And she will
Look,
gesture.
distraction.
Surgery.
And she will gesture towards the guard and tell you that Krevlin will show you the way if you wish. Anybody who wishes to go to the learning gallery.
I'll go up.
Cool.
I'm
Curious as
Curious
to what they're
minds.
doing.
Me too.
So yeah, Callum and Sullivan, you head up into the viewing gallery. Zavrel and Fox, you follow Solara into a small healing chamber. Everything in here is like pristinely white to the point that it's almost too bright to look at, as everything glows a little unnaturally.
Oh god, it's even brighter white and clinical.
Yeah, as you look at it, Zavrel, a lot of stuff is sort of cleaning itself.
Cool.
There are like cleansing stones embedded into some of the areas here, and she gestures towards what looks like a very uncomfortable stone bed and asks you to lie on it.
If it's as uncomfortable as it looks.
Yeah, as you lie on it, it sort of adjusts itself to your lying position, and you sort of sink into it. It's not uncomfortable at all.
Ooh.
Remarkable.
Yes, it is. She sort of agrees, but expands not in the slightest.
Okay, so I guess I'm not going to learn how it works. I'll just accept
No,
it
you've got
works.
better things to be doing right now, like trying
I'm
not
gonna-
to die in the process.
I'm gonna whisper to Callum. I hope they don't give him a frontal lobotomy.
It's unlikely
Yeah,
because the DM doesn't know what it is.
He'll be a lot less useful to us. Basically, they take an ice pick, and well, you don't want to hear the rest.
They basically
Oh,
fuck around
Yeah,
with your
that
brain.
might happen.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's okay, Zavrel would still have a higher int score.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. They really
be
get wild in
drooling.
there.
I know.
You're really that, Mr. -1?
Yeah, I do. I think if you're drooling constantly and can barely form a sentence, I think I might have more than you.
As you are lying down, the third person enters the room. Oh. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to my face.
Oh.
That
There
third
we go.
person is the
Um,
lobotomist.
yeah, no, and this is the one of the women who was walking around, and she's she's quite well muscled, and you do notice a strange tattoo up her arm, and she unfurls a scroll and she begins casting a spell on you.
Counterspell.
That'd be amusing.
I would love to, but I'm not going
Does
to.
anybody
I
have the
don't
spell?
think so.
Does anybody have the spell hold person?
Zavrel does.
I don't.
Does
I
everyone
don't.
have hold? Yeah, okay, so you would recognize what she's casting on you.
Wow,
And Solara would
that's so
quite
scary.
quietly say to you, I suggest that you willingly submit.
I guess I have no choice.
Fail
That
the
was
saving throw on
suggestion,
purpose.
wasn't it?
No. She just wants you to willingly submit to this.
Oh,
whole
if it
process.
was suggestion, I would willingly fail it anyway, so that's fine.
Okay, and then she turns to Zavrel, who is... sorry, she turns to Fox. Can you imagine if the whole person was on Fox? That would be confusing, wouldn't it?
What a twist!
Yeah, she turns to
Plot
Fox.
twist, I'll kill you all.
And she basically
Starting
asks
with
you
your
to try and ensure that his heart stays beating.
God.
And, you know, you don't need to necessarily expend any specific resources, but this is effectively a mixture of healing magic and, you know, calming movements and maybe even some compressions, that sort of thing.
Chest compressions.
And, she basically leans right down so that her forehead is almost touching Zavrel's. And just before her head gets directly in contact, you will see Zavrel's eyes go completely black. And hers also go completely black. And they sort of lock minds. And Zavrel, you will feel excruciating pain. And to anybody who's watching from the viewing gallery, you will see this sort of black light, almost this nimbus, begin at the very tip of Zavrel's feet and sort of move all the way up his body. And you'll notice bits of his body, even through the whole person, sort of go into a rictus of pain as you see muscles tighten in agony. And this is probably not the right music for this, really, is it? And try not to die. And Fox, you will feel for the first time the heart sort of stutter almost, as if it's struggling not to give out. And then once again it sort of hesitates and there's like a flutter in the heart, and you're forced to put some sort of healing power into it. And you will also note, those of you who are viewing, that Solara has gone completely tense and seems to be feeling some of the pain that Zavrel is. As she drives this black nimbus up through his body. And eventually, once it's sort of, she locks minds with him for a moment, you see it sort of push down his arm back towards that hand that was first infected. As if almost as if she's moving it all into that hand. She's not going to chop your hand off, though. That would be fun. After a short while, you see like the black enter into his veins and sort of like black oily liquid run up his veins, and Fox, you will feel his heart completely stop for a moment. And then as you sort of feed the magic back in and you sort of push and pressure, once again his heart sort of kicks in lightly and then flutters and then begins to beat again. And you'll see that even through the whole person, his entire body has gone completely tense as the black liquid runs through the veins. And finally, you just see it drain out of his eyes like teardrops as they run down his face. And Solara collapses.
Well, quite a procedure.
Yeah. Make sure she's okay.
Yeah, she's unconscious, but appears to be otherwise all right. That was almost the track last goodbye. Sorry, Zavrel, we lost you. Just misclicked. Yeah. Zavrel, you regain consciousness fairly quickly. You're in agony. Absolute agony. Your whole body is as if it is on fire with tiny little pins being driven into every single vein you have. But then the pain passes completely and you almost wonder if you're imagining it. To anybody who looks at Zavrel, however, you will note that his eyes have gone sort of a bit darker in colour, as if there is something a little way behind them, clouding over his vision. Solara, however, does not regain consciousness, and that muscled healer comes over and looks at you, Fox, and says, if I may.
Right.
Sort of very unceremoniously, just picks her up and slings her over her shoulder. Yeah, sort of begins to march her out, always pushing herself too hard. She carries the elven princess out of the room. And then she glances up to the gallery on her way out and show's over.
Well, all right.
I
Myself
would have been holding Callum's hand very tightly watching that.
Because you were scared?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Man,
was
I
pretty
hope Zach
What's
was
really
okay.
cute about that is that it'll be like you leaning down and Callum leaning up, as if it's like, you know, a father and son holding hands.
Oh, I thought we were sat on a bench.
I assumed we were sitting down.
Yeah, same.
No seat up there.
Someone
That's
else
right.
lifting Callum
Oh
up.
man.
I can't see. Give me a boost.
Oh man.
But
Fall on your shoulders.
go on, Ashwin.
While this was all going on in the other room, I think Obi and Glacius are with Ashwin outside. I'm gonna try to get a read on Obi's mood at the moment.
Shielded.
From the
Mind
whole
shielded.
Lich thing and the
Mind shielded.
the Lich thing plus the Zavrel thing.
How is Obi doing?
Once over.
Obi's
How's
looking to
the
see if
main
there's a
character?
Obi is looking to see if there's a window anywhere.
There is a huge window, just like you can see. It appears to have a balcony outside, though there's no entrance to the balcony.
Well, Obi's was upset before, but is a little more understanding now, but still upset. And he's gonna, unless he gets stopped, whenever he can see that window, he's gonna try and walk over to it and look outside.
Okay. You lean over to it, and with your prominent magical abilities, will quickly note that it is an illusion.
Wow.
Just trying to see where we are. That's why.
Yep. Sort of as you tap on it, it's a wall. It's a wall made to
Shady.
look like an illusion. And the gentleman healer who's playing with the heart looks over at you and there's no point, son. We're underground.
Well, special thing when I'm near my home village near Carthon. I know we're near Carthon. Right?
He smiles at you and we're a long way from anywhere here.
Oh, that was a lie to see if he would accidentally reveal where we are.
I know.
My home village isn't next to Carthon. It's actually next to Jestern.
Subterfuge.
He tells you we're a long way from anywhere here. Anywhere of import, at least.
Milk.
And as he sees Solara come out unconscious, he says, "Oh, again, okay. Here, this will keep you occupied." And he picks up the beating heart and he chucks it to Obi.
Yeah.
What?
No,
This is
we
my-
don't need Obi Necromancer.
This is Zavrel's heart.
As you catch it, Obi, you will immediately note that it is hard, it is solid. It is a contraption made of metal and wiring and magic that is designed to look like and act like a beating humanoid heart. So it can be inspected and interacted with without endangering anyone, of course. It's also just kind of cool.
It's like for training.
Yes, exactly. And he strides on into the room that you're just coming out of, Fox. He's like, it falls to me to do the debrief. It would seem Solara has overtaxed herself again.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
You're still dying. case you wondered. But the process has
Aren't we
been
all?
slowed. Ah,
Zavril's
indeed.
awake.
The process of the paradox of the healer. We are all dying all the time, and yet we're fighting against it. But you're dying quicker than everyone else here. You will lose strength over time. I would estimate 8 to 10 weeks. But maybe a little less. But I'm sure you'll be aware of your own body as you feel weaker and weaker. When you're getting to your last legs, so to speak, it's time to either say goodbyes or find yourself someone like Solara who can put you in stasis.
So we're on an 8-week clock. Got it.
Something like that. This might help you feel a little bit better over time.
Weed.
And he gives you a small like silver hip flask, and he's like, no more than 2 drops on any given day.
Ooh.
1 in the morning, 1 in the evening.
2 drops. What is this thing?
It should bolster your spirits a little bit. I don't think he's going to be able to explain it, but to tell you, Zavrel, what is actually going to happen to your character sheet over time.
Uh-oh.
Over the course of the next 8 weeks, you are going to lose 5 maximum hit points at a time. At the point at which you reach 15, you must quickly get to stasis, or you will die if you fall below the effective HP. So, for example, if you have 20 max HP and you take 45 damage, you are dead and there is no bringing you back. So please try not to die. In the meantime, however, you have as long or as short a time as you wish up until the point that you reach that sort of 15 HP mark. You can gamble as much of your hit points as you like on trying to get stuff done in Sogravia before seeking a cure in Mistralia with your friends. As for when you seek the cure for Mistralia and your friends, you will have to play an NPC to go on that journey with them, as you cannot step into Mistralia, but other than that, you will still be with us as a player. It's not just up to Zavrel, obviously. The rest of you, do have a say in when Mistralia is visited. But Zavrel, if you do not enter stasis when you reach 15 max HP, you will die. However, the flask that he has given you, 2 drops per day, will restore you to your current maximum hit points without that 5 missing, but with temporary hit points. So, for example, if your original max HP is 80, and you have lost 20 max HP, you will get 20 temporary hit points at the beginning of the day. So you will start with your standard maximum, but if you lose those in the day, they will not come back from healing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense,
Okay.
and that, I guess, shouldn't be a problem because, well...
It's not like you get hit in
very
fights or
often
ever
I'll
go
end up
down,
being
right?
at full HP after being wounded in combat anyway, so... I guess that's...
Just a reminder that if you have... Hold on, Duff. If you have 15 temporary hit points, 15 max hit points, and you get hit for 45 damage, you are dead. Right? Because the temp HP doesn't go on the other side. So, bear in mind, your cushion will get smaller and smaller. It is totally up to you guys when you wish to enter Mistralia and how much of Zavrel you wish to gamble. And Zavrel can enter stasis and start playing the NPC before you guys go off to Mistralia if you don't feel like you're ready. But that is the crux of it. Darth, you had a question.
Yeah. So what if we cast like 8 on him or something?
Yes. You cannot be affected under this during this time. You cannot be affected by inspirational leader, heroism, any form of temp HP giving while you have your temp HP active, as it would replace it. Once you have fallen below your temp HP and you're in your standard HP, you can be affected by temporary HP effects. At no point will an increase to max HP affect you in any way.
Oh, so you might as well not eat my cooking then.
Yep, the cooking won't affect
We will
you.
later on have
the
a
aid won't affect you.
question about the logistics of this.
Yeah, that's fine. But for now, you just are missing 5 max HP. The next 5 will happen at some point. The drops will raise that back up in temp each time. And they will last as long as they need to.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask you about the logistics of this in break then, but for now.
Okay, but that's, to be transparent with everybody, that's Zavrel's predicament.
Damn, that's a hell of a lot worse than what I had.
Well, no, you just instantly disappeared and got stuck in stasis, and then we had to go on a mission. So this is just giving you guys some grace period to decide how much of Zavrel you wish to gamble. Alternatively, if you wish to just leave Zavrel to his own problems and carry on without him, I'm totally in support of that.
You'll figure this one out, Zavrel. We got stuff to
See you later, dude.
Giants to go fight in the mountains.
I want to go to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Zavrel, do you have any family around or any kind of, business in particular?
Not really, no. It's
I
the only
get it.
people I was really connected to in this world now were within the Magus Arcane themselves. No, there were the people that I tutored, the people I worked alongside. Those are really the only ones. So I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Yeah,
Well, that
unfortunately, Callum.
simplifies things.
Unfortunately, Callum, it is only you guys who can look after him.
You can't just like drop him on.
Can't drop him off with his relatives. Doesn't have any. And before you ask, the Magus Arcane don't want to look after him.
Are you guys sure? Like, he
Wait,
has,
hang
like,
on. I
shadow
thought I
corruption
was
or
staying
something.
with these people when I was
No.
chucked in stasis.
Oh, once you're in stasis? No, they're just going to put you on a boat and
Yeah.
float you out to sea. Yes, you stay with the Sisterhood once you're in stasis.
Oh, that's good.
In fact, she will, when mentioning this, the gentleman will gesture towards another room, and he will let you have a little look inside, where there are 3 people who appear to be asleep and who are rotating in the air inside bubbles. All 3 of them are in stasis.
Zavrel, that'll be you one day.
Ooh.
To be fair, that looks kind of fun.
Yeah. Can we get a look at these
Yeah,
people?
he gestures towards the one nearest, and he says, 3 weeks, 7 years,
Oh.
106.
That person's been in stasis for
Years?
106 years.
Yes.
Just like you, Zavrel.
Goodness.
Wake up, nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
I do.
Stop gaslighting him.
I do kind of wonder what happens if there's no cure for people with severe ailments that end up going into stasis. So they
Oh,
just
in your own
decide-
case, we'll probably cut you off after a couple of years.
Oh,
This-
well, okay, fair enough in my case.
the disease will become impossible to fight, even in stasis. Those 2 are not kept in stasis for an uncurable medical ailment.
They're just really tired.
What's so special about them?
That is not my place to say. Perhaps you could ask Solara when she
confidentiality.
wakes.
I figured. So the other person who's, the other person has the same thing that Zavrel has.
No, the first person who's only been alive for 7 weeks, they're waiting to get blood for her.
Oh.
They need to find another person with the same, not blood
Oh,
type, but
negative.
the same race and physiology, effectively.
What race are they, out of curiosity?
Yeah, what do they look like?
She is, she's a Kalistar.
Gotta get that Calistar blood.
Yeah, she lost a lot
I'll
of
put
blood.
this on our
he
very,
will
very
tell you
minor
that
side quest.
she was an honoured scout of the Sisterhood. They have somebody who is coming, a family member.
Oh, good.
But they want to sort a few things out first, I think, or something.
Check for
sort of-
STDs, all that
that's it,
stuff.
yes. In terms of the other 2, let's just say they are favoured of the Sisterhood.
The figures.
And they wanted this?
She did, and gestures towards the one who's 106 years old.
Like I said, she's
7
really
years
tired.
didn't want it, or didn't say they wanted it. Maybe, he doesn't say much more than that. But they didn't choose it. That's for sure.
But it's
Cool.
done anyway?
It's better than letting them die.
Is it?
Is
though?
it? If they didn't want it?
Well, not to say they didn't want it. They just didn't want it. She didn't say whether
They
they
didn't
didn't. They didn't.
specifically
They didn't
ask.
specify in any direction. Yeah, they didn't ask for it, but nor did they say they never wanted it. It just happened. It's a circumstantial thing.
Okay. So what are we waiting on?
Well, I won't pry any further on this. It's just good to know that.
Yeah, you can ask Solara when she wakes up,
That in
if you
place.
wish. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So at this point, the healer sort of looks a bit uncomfortable, and one of the young sort of female helpers, if you like, who are walking around, comes up to you and perhaps you'd like some repast?
It's breakfast? Yes, please.
Lunch.
I'm
I think you missed breakfast.
Damn it.
Yummy.
And she will lead you along the corridors into a large hall where there are lots of people who are unmasked, and there are some who are masked, but not in the same Sisterhood masks, not in the sort of the 7, but in a different way. They have these sort of hoods up that their faces just look non-existent. They're like just completely empty spaces in the hood.
Ethereal. Cool.
Yeah, and you can see them really struggling to sort of lift it out and get the food in and then lift it back down. And like it's not the easiest thing to handle, but quite a few people here seem to be remaining in anonymity.
Cool.
The spread is sort of 90% female, but there are men here and there. And also something else you'll notice is there are people of all sorts of different races. You know, from lizard folk to dragonborn to drow to all sorts of races. There are every race that you have ever known of in Sogravia is displayed here.
Interesting.
But there,
Find a kobold.
there's a small group of kobolds at a table if you wish to go and speak to them.
Oh my
I would
gosh.
absolutely like to go sit with them.
When you head over, they're gambling over dice and arguing very, very quick Draconic. And when they see you, they sort of greet you in Draconic. And, oh, hey there. Welcome, Fred. Where are you from?
Sogravia.
Why are you so shy of me?
They sort of nod and likewise. Do you want to join us in a game of Knuckle and Bones?
Can my friend join us?
The big people?
I'm gonna run over and grab Sullivan to come play.
Only if he doesn't cheat.
I don't think he knows how to cheat.
I will happily take Obi's hand as he leads me over there.
Hey, friend, welcome.
Hi, nice
do you
to
speak
meet you.
Draconic?
No, I don't. I speak
speaks
common.
Goblin?
I speak common, goblin, and sylvan.
Nope, they all greet you in Draconic. Hey, friend.
I will.
I'll say back to them that he doesn't understand.
That's real sad. I think Jylock can speak some common. And the one kobold at the end sort of waves his hand and, hi, kobold. You big.
I'll smile politely and pull out my dragon chess set.
Mm-hmm.
See if they
He sort of looks over and
know how to play or.
And he carefully sets his gambling pouch to the side, saying he won't bet you, but he will play you.
Okay.
This is Jylock.
Except I'll have to teach them.
No, he knows how to play. He knows how to play.
Oh, okay.
And he won't bet you on it. And
Okay,
he sort of,
that's fine.
he awkwardly, he sort of turns to the others and he gabbles really fast in Draconic. Where he's like, I'm gonna play him a dragon chess. I bet he thinks I'm really bad, but but we'll see how he goes. I've got to test the big one before I play it, before I really show him, and then we'll find out. Then, thank you for introducing me to a friend. It's really cool. I haven't played dragon chess in ages. And he sort of shovels to the side, and Jylock's like, and the other guy who first greeted you, turns to Obi and Knuckle and Bones.
Yeah.
Knuckle and Bones! Come on, let's go! And with that,
Bones, yeah.
they immediately start rolling, and you will note instantly that every single one of them is cheating. Without a fail. They're using Mage Hand. That one of them seems to have an invisible Mage Hand, which is kind of cool. They're using telepathic intrusion on each other. They're using minor illusions. One of them has definitely got a dice that's weighted because he's only rolled a 6 so far. And he's sort of on roll 12. And they sort of... Then there's money going into the center, but then they seem to just see who can grab it the fastest. There seems to be no logic or rhyme or reason to the game. And as you roll, and you roll a 1, he's like, you got to pay up 50 gold. you will note that some of the gold is real and lots of it isn't. So do as you wish. It's not real. No, as in like none of it's real gold, but some of it is correct currency, and much of it is sort of like painted wood or illusionary. Do as you wish. There don't seem to be any rules.
Mage hand. I'm gonna mage hand 50 gold out of the middle and put the same gold back in.
And he turns to you and he's like, "I like you. I'm Olaki.
Lucky, Obi.
I'm from Big West Mountain."
Where's that? I think I'm from there too.
I don't think so. This is where
Big
the
East Mountain.
No, he's from Big West Mountain, which is where the Furian Guard are getting attacked by giants. Up there.
Oh, I'm from right here, literally right here. So
yeah,
close.
so not far, not far.
Not far.
And then he sort of looks at you, and without like he's still smiling. He's just like, "My tribe all dead."
Oh no.
Damn.
I actually have a good question for you. How did you guys get here?
I teleport. Every 6 days, I come. I report.
Part of the Sisterhood?
Oh yeah. Important. Important kobold.
How you get part?
He sort of. I know things. I tell things. Become important. He knows nothing. He's not important, and he points to Jylok, who's playing Sullivan the Dragon Chess. But we important, and he gestures to everybody else. Just while we're at it, Sullivan, give me an intelligence roll, please.
Well, even though he's put his pouch away, I will put 1 gold piece on the table.
He sort of looks at it. How do I get off this stupid measure box? There we go. He sort of looks at it and he nods very slowly. And he reaches into his pouch and pulls out 1 gold piece and slides it to meet yours.
Very well. I got a 12 on the in check.
Okay, I got a 9. So yeah,
Wow.
as the beginning motions play, you will quickly recognize that he is playing Fibonacci's Defense, and he is no novice whatsoever. You are proficient in Dragon Chess, is that correct?
I surely am.
Yeah, so technically you should be adding your proficiency modifier to that 12 as well.
Oh, my bad. So that should be a 16 instead.
Okay. And he sort of leans forward and very confidently places 2 pieces in the middle of the board. Give me an insight check. The DC has gone
Nat
down
20 for a
drastically.
25.
Great, I got a nat 1! Yeah, you notice immediately that he is bluffing. And he is not hiding it very well, as he's got a little grin on his face as he does it.
I'm hiding.
Exactly.
I'd like to make the game like I want it to be like tense and keeping on his toes, but I do want to actively let him win.
Oh, okay. Give me a deception check.
Oh yes.
I got a 16 on my insight.
That's a nat 1 for a 6.
Oh wow.
After a while, he looks over. And,
Sullivan's not very good at lying.
after a while, he looks up to you and, try your hardest.
Well, I know that, you originally wanted to play that game, and I'll gesture towards the others. So, I didn't want you to be disappointed.
Big man nice. And with that, he will gladly take the win and lean over and take the 2 gold.
Very good. Very good.
But yes, Olaki will tell you, Obi, that the kobolds were able to join because... he was able to join because his tribe died, but he didn't. And he found himself in... and this is because he's a member of the Magus Arcane in Carthan. He's not important, he's a cleaner. But he hears things, and he tells the Sisterhood. So he gets to come every 6 days. He gets a lovely meal and a good bit of pay, and he tells all the secrets. All the other kobolds seem to have relatively similar stories. They aren't important in themselves. They have very menial or basic jobs. One's a cleaner. One is he helps fit the glass on jewelry boxes in a store for rich nobles overnight. One of them is a window cleaner for a noble house in Carthan. And one of them works in Jastan in the palace. He is he's a rug layer.
Very important.
Well, the important
You
thing
guys
is that
can
the
all
king
join my
always
clan.
walks upon carpeted ground. They sort of all turn to you at that and... No clan. Kobold independence.
Viva le.
And then Alaki just looks at you and without missing a beat, smiling, goes, "My clan are all dead." But while you two are gaming, the rest of you are able to head up to the food counters. It's very weird. There's lots and lots of empty boxes. And in front of the empty boxes are little signs, little wooden plaques. I say little. They're quite large for just one title. And there's food. The name of the food is written in about 30 languages. And then next to them is a single one in this exactly, and the second one is written in common and is like quite plain and just put out the front. But people are reaching in with spoons into these empty boxes and dishing up food onto their plate.
Is there one that says potato?
There are roast potatoes. There are fried potatoes. There are mashed potatoes.
I'll try to take all of the potatoes.
Okay, so you can take 3 different types of potato. There are various different sauces. There's some foods that you guys don't recognize, either because they're traditional fare of some races that you're not aware of, such as tribal Goliath food from up the north, or old desert food, which there's no deserts anymore, but some people have kept those traditions alive. But you'll also find food that's indigenous to your own people or, your own pasts. Perhaps traditional dragonborn potato dishes.
I was gonna say,
For example, you can find sort of very simple forest fare that furbolgs often make. All vegetarian, sort of vegetable based. Actually interesting, which is nice because you've probably been on quite boring food for a while, Fox. So, nice interesting forest fare and other such foods. Sullivan, in your recent studies of potential paladin magics, you mentioned create food and drink. This does seem to be what's going on here. It seems to be an extra dimensional space. You would assume at the other end is somebody casting create food and drink. Probably through a wand or something, not directly, as that would be exhausting.
Would be really funny.
Well, I'd get a plate for both me and my dragon chess partner.
Yep.
So that we can eat and play at the same time.
Oh, lovely. How social.
Yes.
But the rest of you, as you head your way through the halls, do you find a table together? Callum and Glacius and
Sure. Yeah.
Ashrin and...
Yeah, I don't see why not. We don't have any other friends.
Zavrel, you are starving after your
I'm not trying to
ordeal.
socialize.
Exactly, I hate people.
Exactly.
I was isolated for decades. Yeah, no.
And after a short while, Starling makes her way through the hall and comes and sits next to you all. She looks a little red in the face. Anybody who's at that table may give me an insight check if they're interested in how she's feeling.
Yes,
Drunk.
please.
She's definitely not drunk.
Not ideal at 15, but sure, we'll take it.
16.
My 15.
And Ashrin?
25.
There you go.
Oh, God.
Ashrin and Starling understand each other. She looks a little embarrassed, maybe a bit chastened. It's as if she's just been given a thorough telling off.
Oh, no doubt.
Could
have seen that coming.
She sort of smiles awkwardly at you all and... Well,
You did.
how are we doing? How are you holding up there, Blue Man? You alright?
Well, as good as I could hope to be at this point. I wish somebody had the ability to modify and alter memories, because I sure didn't want to remember that, but I'll live for now, I hope.
What if you get mind shielding though? That'll do some bonus.
That was the aim, I guess. Mission accomplished, or something like that. Rewards ready when you want it. It's a bit big to bring in here.
Ooh.
Is it a potato?
No.
You are such a potato addict.
Listen, you don't have any fun in your life, and that's why you're gonna die.
Glacius.
My God,
Wow.
why was that so rude? Why was that the
I
first thing
can't
that came to my
believe
mind?
you've done this.
I love you, Zavrel.
Glacius is just masking his emotions.
Exactly, with potatoes.
He's mashing his emotions into the potatoes.
I have an emergency potato out, and I'm just like eating it raw. Just like, hey, everything's fine, everything is okay. I have no problems whatsoever with this.
There's no easy way to
Yes.
say this. You're talking about modifying memories. This is not going to be required. But the Sisterhood want you to take oath before you leave.
How many O's do we have?
What does that
Us
mean?
or just me specifically?
Why would it be you specifically?
Oh.
Well, to be
I
fair,
didn't
you
know
were
if he was
talking
addressing
to
me
him.
specifically or
first.
just everyone. but
No,
sure.
sorry. She sort of looks over. No, all of you.
What kind of oath?
I think you're just swearing to secrecy, that sort of thing.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
They're
That's
angry that
that was a
Solara
given.
revealed herself.
But wasn't that her choice? Why is that our fault?
It's not. They argue between themselves as well.
Ah,
This was seen as the simplest compromise. I'm so sorry. You've done a lot for them. You don't deserve that sort of treatment. Kailana is very angry. She
At you?
risked her position for you.
Hmm.
Am I angry? Furious. You've done so much for them. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be treated, like Obi said, like outsiders.
I understand their needs for, or at least the way they feel about their need for secrecy, considering
Sure,
No.
but
everything that's at stake.
we had the nail on the head. They made their choices.
Thank you for bringing us here. I imagine they weren't happy about it.
No, but you can't take an oath if you're not here.
Hmm.
I can show you where to collect your reward, and after that, I can show you where to take your oath, or we can leave. I won't subject you to something I don't feel you deserve.
wait, what does the oath imply? You make it seem like we're about to be, like, bound to life.
You swear to secrecy in regards to the Sisterhood. Speaking secrets you've seen here would result in excruciating pain and potentially permanent effects. The oath is
Oh,
magically
is
binding.
this- Oh.
Oh,
It's an unbreakable vow
Sort of, yeah, a little bit like that.
for any Harry Potter.
tell him I mean no harm.
But I'm sure you'll wish to speak about it with Obi and Sullivan. They seem to be having a raucous amount of fun with the kobolds, and frankly, I'm a little jealous.
Raucous?
Rocket Sunderdown? Where?
He's here?
Whatever you wish to
What is
do,
your name?
please enjoy your lunch. When you're ready,
Well-
leave here and take the second left. I'll be waiting over there for you. If you
Okay,
just
I
want to
have
drink,
lots to discuss
it's a good
at that
place
time.
to. It's a good place to meet. We can discuss that now if you want, Zavrel, if you want to come with. Or
Sure, okay. I'll join you.
yeah, she's going to the bar whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I'm joining her.
If you want to chat to her,
drink.
go with her.
After that, I want a drink.
Yeah, so Sullivan and Obi, you're more than welcome to just enjoy your game and finish it up and head over with them. Or, if there's more you wish to do, be my guest. The rest of you can finish up your lunch and then head to the bar if you want. Or discuss between yourselves before you do. It's totally up to you guys. But if we want to magic Obi and Sullivan to your table,
Yeah, I'll just tell the Waltz to come visit our house sometime, and if we're not there, to look out for Sheepsbane.
you have a
And I'll
house.
go join everyone.
Well, we'll come by. Well, some of us, maybe. I don't know. I can't
Yes.
speak for this guy, but yeah. He points once again towards Jylok.
So mean.
Jylok leans over to Sullivan and says in very broken common, "They think Jylok not important. They wrong."
Mm-hmm.
I think you're important.
I know important me. And he taps his nose in a big secrets.
Yes.
What the hell is that?
Someone's phone.
I thought that was a cat.
Wow.
The cat was like
The
screaming. or something.
insults to Florence and the machine. Damn.
Wow.
It definitely
Sorry.
sounded like a baby crying.
It's
I thought too.
it's
If you
say
don't
my
recognize the
name.
song, then it was rather sudden.
Yeah.
All days are gone.
No, the song's called "Say My Name." Anyway, yeah.
Spectral.
Yes, it is. You're right. There you go. Especially
Not to be a
yeah.
mansplainer.
No, you are right. That's the right song. Yeah. Say My Name's a Destiny's Child song. Anyway, yeah. As we were,
Oh, yeah, that
where
song.
was I?
Oh,
Where
God,
was
that's
I?
totally-
Anybody? Where was
I gestured to.
Oh
cross
yeah,
my
yeah.
arms.
Sorry. And he says, he sort of looks over at you and, you special too, yeah?
I think everyone's special.
He sort of shrugs his shoulders and looks over at his kobold friends and like,
Everyone has a part to play in their life.
okay, but what you do?
I'm a paladin for the crown, for the king.
Big special.
I do my best.
Big special. He points towards himself.
What do you do?
I watch. I learn. You go Darkland, yeah?
Maybe not now, but I fear that, and I'll like look over to the party's table, that someday soon we will be.
He sort of tilts his head for a moment and then he speaks in Elvish. Do you speak Elvish?
No!
Okay.
Goblin or Sylvan? Pick one!
Yeah, he hesitates for a moment and he tries another language and then one more. And he sort of... And then he gestures for you to come with him.
I will follow.
And he leads you to a really pretty girl. She appears to be human, perhaps half-elf. Sat at the table.
It's taken. Sorry.
And he goes, he sort of grabs her arm and, quick, talking. And she sort of rolls her eyes and she begins to cast tongues on him. And then she pats him on the head gently, and she looks up and, hi, I'm Kylo.
Nice to meet you, Kyla. I'm Sullivan.
I see you've met our mutual friend. He's a great guy.
Yes, very much so.
Don't listen to a word he says.
I'll try not to.
And she sort of smiles, but yeah, she can see there's a look of concern in her eyes as well. Give me an insight check.
I'd love to. Can't I still have that nat 20 that I rolled?
What nat 20?
How about a 10?
The dragon chest nat 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get the impression that she is a little concerned, but she doesn't stop you. And as you walk away, Jylok turns to you and speaks in now fluent common to your ears.
Oh, beautiful.
And says,
Does he change his accent at all?
he just sort of sounds like very neutral, very like magically enhanced, and he sort of says,
Okay, he doesn't suddenly get British.
"No, Jylok watches in the
British.
Jylok watches in the mainlands, in the Shadowlands, for people coming close."
How do you survive out there?
I don't go out there. I watch.
On the border? Oh, you mean magically?
Yeah. I have... I see things in fire. If you go to Darklands, you come to see Jylok first, yeah? I show you paths. I have maps.
Of course. Will I always find you here?
No. Yes. Maybe. You call. Your friend does magic,
Your
right?
phone number?
Yeah, I have quite a few magical friends actually.
He suggests that maybe one of them casts sending.
Ah, I see.
I can come here anytime. I find you.
I'd very much appreciate that. Thank you, Jylok.
You're a good friend. And he pats you on the arm. And as you look over, you do see that you are being watched by an Aarakocra.
Suspicious.
Almost like incredibly closely.
Would you say he's being watched like a hawk?
Oh, maybe.
Ching.
There it is.
Disgusting. I will take back out my dragon chess set, and I will give it to him.
To Jylok?
And I will, and I will say to him, keep practicing, and maybe the next time, before you tell me the secrets of the Shadowlands, you'll be able to beat me for real next time.
Okay. He nods and he sort of takes it like really gently, sort of like to not to hurt it almost. It's a bit heavy for him, but he manages it. Sort of takes it down and he sort of nods up at you. Thank you, friend.
He cracks it over his
Thank you.
The Aarakocra is moving a bit closer, still watching you very intently.
I will gesture for Jylok to like go back, and then as soon as he starts walking away, I'll spin on my heels and I will start approaching the Aarakocra.
Okay, he was standing behind Jylok, so he was looking straight at you.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, but you're gonna stride straight over to him?
Not in an aggressive way. But yeah, I'll start walking towards him.
Okay. He looks over at you and... You'll make friends fast.
Thank you.
That's not a compliment.
Why not?
It's a threat.
You are seeking something.
Not particularly. I mean, I would like to know. I would like to find out how to cure my friend of his ailment and find a way to stop this war.
Noble
Oh,
goals,
he asked for
indeed.
it. It's fine. Like, evil.
But you are dangerous. A bad liar.
Yes, I am a bad liar. I tend not to do so.
Many secrets are held here.
Indeed.
You don't like secrets?
I don't like things being held away when they could harm others.
Dangerous. Very well. And you see him sort of relax a little bit. Give me a perception check.
Lord have mercy. A perception, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was gonna obliviate me on the spot. That's a solid 9.
He might.
Yes. You note that he perhaps put something down or relaxed something or put something away, but you're not really sure what. You just caught a movement of his arm, sort of almost behind his back, and then he sort of spreads his arms wide and his wings sort of unfurl a little bit with them. Go in peace.
If there's anything I can do to alleviate your worry, please
The
let me know.
oath.
What oath?
Your friends will tell you, I'm sure.
Very well.
And he looks sort of very proud and a little stern. And he gives you this sort of slight nod, almost a sign of respect. And then he turns quite quickly and begins to walk away from you.
Smack my fist in his face. Oh.
I will. I guess go back to the group. I hate when people do that. They like bring something up, and then when you ask them about it, they're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." I say it then.
Or they're just like, "Oh, I'll tell you about it later." It's like,
Yeah, why
why did you bring it up now?
later? Yeah.
He felt like being cryptic.
But yeah,
I have something very important to tell you. I'll tell you next week.
I know, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll, but that's me. That's not Sullivan.
Okay.
Sullivan's
So the group of you are at the table without Zavrel, who has pursued Starling. Zavrel, as you follow Starling to the bar, she heads in, makes no order whatsoever, waves at the bartender, and then receives a drink.
Wow.
Wow. So, Starling, what are you having now?
She sort of waves it at you, and she's holding a glass of red wine and sort of sticks it in front of your face, and then she sort of takes a mouthful and better. Oh, sorry, you wanted one?
Give myself a glass. Yeah, please. I'll get myself a glass. I'll
She
head up
just
to the bar.
points at the bar. You'll have to pay.
That's fine. I'll pay.
And you are greeted by a Loxodon behind the bar, who sort of moves their head very slowly towards you. And, newcomer.
Yes, my first time here.
Ah, not your last.
It would seem that way for sure.
Good. A drink. Get you
If I
settled
may,
in.
yes.
Yeah, of course you may if you pay.
What's she drinking?
Claret.
Okay, I'm assuming that's not going to set me back too much then.
4 gold pieces.
So a slightly expensive drink, but I'll have a glass, yes.
What's good is expensive, and what's cheap is not.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have myself one of those then, please.
He pours you a
Well,
glass of
sure,
claret, and
yeah.
he hands it over to you. Takes your money. And, just said, see you again sometime. We don't get many of your kind.
That's quite a shame. I'm guessing there just aren't many of us.
Mages.
Ah, mages, specifically.
He sort of says, implies that because the Vidalcan are mages, they're not members of the Sisterhood. You would know that the majority of your people are members of the Magus Arcane, so maybe that's just a conflict of interests in a lot of cases.
Makes total sense. Perfect sense, yeah.
You need to be dying to be brought here, apparently.
Yeah,
Vidalcan.
apparently.
But yeah, he sort of nods his head and gestures over to where Starling has already wandered off. She's gone to one of these quiet sort of... There are little tables for 2 or 4 people that have little curtains that can be pulled in front of them. And she sat there, but she's sort of got her legs out across where the curtain would close. And she looks at you and... So, you wanted to speak privately. I'm not interested in you.
Sure.
That's what it's about.
Well...
Sorry to disappoint.
Sorry?
She said she's not interested in you if that's what it's about. She's sorry to disappoint.
No, that's fine. Yeah. No, it's just I wanted to inquire about the oath and what exactly this is.
Well, that's information I could
I
have
don't
given
feel like
everybody.
I have much option really.
I didn't realise it needed to be a one-to-one.
No, it's just I feel like I don't really have much choice considering, I have
There's
to
always a
come back
choice.
here to be preserved, you know.
They won't let you die because you didn't take an oath.
That was what my initial concern was, but on hearing that, that's a little more relieving to know.
For what it matters, I've taken the oath.
How many...
I've taken no harm from it.
Is the oath something that the 7 themselves also take, or are they above that?
The oath protects them. They would have no reason to break it.
I see.
This is their lives.
That does make sense. But they don't feel like they need to be protected from each other in that sense.
The oath is very simple. I swear not to reveal anything that I have learnt within the walls of the Sisterhood Sanctuary. Outside of the walls. That's it. It's the whole oath.
That is incredibly simple.
Can be complicated sometimes. You have to work your mind around it. Good idea not to read too many interesting books while here.
Oh. It applies to literature as well.
They should be a little more specific in their wording, in my opinion. But
so if I were to read a fantastic novel and then tell somebody about the novel, that would cause some...
it would hurt. That's what happens at first. There is a small pain. If you continue with what you are trying to say, it will hurt more and more. And in the cases that the Sisterhood feel it's a true threat, it gives them some power to deal with it.
So...
But we'll have to explain this all to your friends as well. Perhaps we should wait for them to get here?
Yes, sure. I just wanted to know specifically,
In the meantime, Zavrel,
for me and my complicated situation, that was all.
tell me about your time at the Magus Arcane. And with that, she'll sort of lead you into a conversation talking about yourself, so she can deflect anything from any questions about her. The rest of you, as the 6 of you are sat down at the table, you see this Aarakocra is sort of stood a little way away, but to Fox and Ashrin, you will both see that he holds a weapon in his hand. It's sort of a thin dagger that he's sort of holding the handle, and the blade is coming up the back of his arm. And he's watching your group quite carefully. Having just finished talking with Sullivan, who's now come and sat with you.
I think I'd like to get out of here.
Yeah. So
As I hear that, as I'm half like going to sit down, I'll stand back up.
we wait until Sullivan sits down, and then we say we should leave.
By that, Ashton, just to clarify, do you mean to the bar? Or like...
I mean, to Starling.
Okay, cool, right. Yeah, that's what I was
So
clarifying.
to the bar.
Yeah, to the bar. Okay. So you come out, the guys as a group get up and come to the second left, where you enter into this sort of, it's a very sort of, this is not reference, it isn't going to sit very well with the Americans, but it's like an old style pub. So there's these sort of like wooden beams and running across the ceiling. There's a sort of warm, crackling fireplace. There's a lot of velvet involved, deep, heavy velvet drape curtains. So those horrible cushions that are really seats that are really uncomfortable to sit on because they have lots of like buttons pressed into them at various points.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very ostentatious, heavy wood tables, and this huge bar, and this Loxodon is behind it. And he sort of lets out this sort of mix between a sigh and a bit of a trumpet as his trunk sort of flutters. He's
Oh, so cute.
newcomers! More newcomers. Always newcomers. Welcome on in. Hello. First time here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope it's not your last. Can I get you a drink?
I'm good.
Is that so? What are you good
time
at?
is it?
Not drinking.
So you don't want a drink?
That's what I was saying. I was saying I'm good. I don't want one.
What does being good have to do with not wanting one? He looks drastically confused.
I'll have a drink. I'll step in and have a drink.
I see. Are you good?
I'm good at having drinks.
Ah, good. I didn't realize it was a skill. He looks over the rest of you and sort of looks at Sullivan. Newcomer, welcome. First time?
Yes.
I hope it's not your last. Can I get you a drink?
Thank you. Just water for me, please.
Thrilling. And for yourself, nods towards Callum.
Yeah.
Motor oil.
Like a nice medium ale, not your strongest ale. Your
Excellent.
second strongest.
Dwarven or otherwise?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I can. I think I got stuff to do today, so nothing dwarven.
Excellent. I've got a good Justern ale. And he charged you a silver piece. Obi,
Sure.
first time here.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not your last. Can I get you a drink?
You know the Gutbusters?
Ah, that I do. We have some Gutbuster ale here.
Obi.
Do what you would do for the Gutbusters. They're my friends.
I
He's
see.
like, I want to get fucked up.
He gets a tankard out that is foaming with Gutbuster, and then he thinks for a moment and looks at you, and he casts the spell Reduce on it, and then hands it to you.
That's so cute. Cheers.
He will charge you a gold
clue
piece.
about it being strong or anything.
Nope, he charges you a gold piece. Looks over to Ashrin. And, first time here.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not your last. Can I get you a drink?
What's the signature drink of astral elves?
Disappointment, wistfulness, and an air of the dramatic, I think.
Sounds good. I'll take that.
That just sounds depressing.
With that, he sort of reaches in. He gets this sort of crystal clear, bright red juice. It looks like sort of almost like a wine, but it's sort of too clear. And he said, elderberry wine, a drink of the elves, a favourite. And he gives it to you and charges you 2 gold pieces. It tastes like a summer evening as it passes into autumn, while gazing up at the stars, remembering a lost loved one. Or something.
So what
like
does that like taste like exactly?
Elderberry wine. And, he
I
looks
love it when it's like it tastes like
emotions.
and then describes a situation. It's just like what I don't. How do you know what that tastes like?
Amazingly, though, as soon as Ashrin takes a sip, it tastes exactly like that. It is a summer evening passing into autumn, gazing up at the stars, remembering a lost loved one. And he looks over to Fox.
Elves.
First time here. Let's hope it's not your
Fox
last.
said.
Can I get you a drink?
Jake said no.
Someone blow his cartridge. I think he's stuck on repeat.
Very well. He sort of hesitates for a moment, and then he looks back at you. You speak Giant, right? It's your native language, is that correct?
No, I don't.
No, is that not Furbolg? What's Furbolg's native language? Is that... Because he'll speak to you in your tongue. I just can't think what it is.
Druidic.
They don't really.
Oh, they don't have one, do they? Oh, no, I know.
No.
What he'd probably he'd probably go for Sylvan. Might make sense. Or Druidic? Probably Druidic's better. And he just looks towards you.
It's
and,
not vocal.
Oh. No?
Plant.
Druidic's
Plant.
not vocal?
Animal. Plant.
What language do you get when you pick Furbolg? It's an interesting thought.
I don't know. I chose.
Oh, okay.
It's dealer's choice in my case.
Dealer's choice. Okay, so yeah, he'd just go for common. I think then, in that case. I thought it was Giantkin, but yeah. Sort of after a
It
moment.
might have changed with the new races book. To all more options.
Yeah, okay, because that gives you options and no personality.
Yeah, it gives you a comment and one language of your choice.
And he anyway, he gestures towards the end of the bar, and you'll see that there is sort of a large fruit bowl there, and he says, "The drinks they cost, but the fruit it doesn't. Help yourself." And sort of smiles at you as if to say he understands that you're in a place that you might not be comfortable in comparison to the rest of your group, and he sort of looks past you to the next customer, and he sort of looks over at this dwarf, and first time here, and you just say the dwarf, "I come every week."
Like I said, someone just needs to blow his cartridge. He's stuck on repeat.
And he sort of, the Loxodon just sort of, "May it not be your last. Can I get you a drink?" And you guys all move along, and find Starling sat at a rather small table for 4. And as she sees you all, she sort of looks up, with a slight grateful look in her eyes, and gestures towards a longer table at the centre, and she sits down with you all, and as you sit, Zavrel was just asking about the oath. Perhaps you all might be interested. The Sisterhood requests that you take an oath before you leave, and the oath is quite simple. You swear not to reveal anything that you have discovered within the walls of the Sisterhood sanctuary beyond the walls. If you break this vow, in an abstract or indirect manner. Perhaps you learn something about healing here. You'll feel a slight pain. You can continue, and usually it will go away. Sometimes the pain will increase, warning you that this is a subject that may be of sensitive matter. If the pain is drastic, you realize that you are about to divulge a secret the Sisterhood would not be happy with. In this situation, where the pain is large, one of the members of the Seven would receive acknowledgement that you are trying to break the oath, and would have the option to create severe ramifications for you that may result in large gaps in your memory. Or perhaps
Are we
even
able to talk
cerebral
to...
malfunction.
Can we talk to each other about it? Like...
There are no other rules.
It's far too simple.
It is, isn't it? That being said, I made the oath 7 years ago, and for the most part I've been able to proceed with only a little bit of odd pain occasionally. They're quite reasonable about it. It's just they interpret it as it happens, not in the words of the oath.
See, I can see there's going to be one case here where I'm going to be quite inconvenienced every single time. If I say to people that I'm dying and I've only got, say, 6 weeks
Oh, it only
to
happens
live.
once for each topic.
Oh, only once for each. Okay, well in that case, that's my concern dealt with, because otherwise I'm having to say, yeah, I'm dying. Ow, I'm feeling pain already. I'm feeling closer to my death.
Yes.
I'm dying.
You know what
Ow.
I'm saying?
It is, it has very little effect on me, but that being said, I don't think you deserve it. If you wish to leave quietly before taking the oath, I won't stop you. I will help you.
I still feel like it's the sort of thing that it would put me in a compromising situation for when I do need to return when the time comes.
It would be an awkward return, and I feel like your bond with the Sisterhood is currently quite a good one from their part, at least. They have respect for you, though they have a funny way of showing it, I will agree.
It would feel like I was taking significant advantage of them if I didn't, you know what I mean? It feels like
It is a group decision. You either all come for the oath or you do not. I can't step some of you out. The others would be severely compromised.
I won't push this upon anyone else. I feel like it's something that I'm being sort of... I'm not going to say forced into, but I feel like there's definitely an element of coercion, but...
Yeah, I mean, they are
trying to force you into taking
my
it.
life. And they've told her that you must take the oath to leave, but she is telling you that she's willing to slip you out if you wish. What did you say, Obi?
I'm saying, what exactly does the oath do?
It basically, you state that you won't reveal anything you learned within the walls of the Sanctuary of the Sisterhood outside the walls. And when you try and do so, when you try and break the oath, even in a minor way, you feel a slight twinge of pain each time you broach a new subject that you learned within the walls. But if it was something like, I don't know, maybe you learned a healing technique and you're trying to tell someone about it, then there would be a minor pain that would go away and you'd be able to speak about that freely for the rest of your life. Whereas if you tried to reveal that you knew that the daughter of the Queen of the Elves was a member of the Sisterhood, you'd feel a drastic pain and potentially lose memories and or your ability to function cerebrally.
So we take this oath, we walk out of here and immediately go because we want to talk about curing Zavrel, who we found this answer might lie in Mistralia. Every conversation we have about that, the first time...
The first time you tell anyone outside of the walls of the Sisterhood that you're potentially considering going to Mistralia, there'll be this minor twinge of pain, but after that it'll go away. You'll be able to have the same conversation with 1,000 others and not experience the pain. It's not a bad pain. It's like a little headache.
I don't believe we should do this.
As is your right.
Oh?
I thought Sullivan would be down for sure.
Yeah, I thought he'd be the first in.
Yeah,
why?
Exactly. Mr. Goody Two Shoes wants to
no,
do
so
very...
I'll say it.
Like lying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I don't want to. I'll say it in character. The why I don't think we should do this is because if we learn something valuable within these 4 walls that could benefit others outside of these walls, it's unfair to not use that information.
To learn more within the walls, you would have to make an oath. The next time you return, I won't be able to shelter you from it.
Okay. Then how about we delay this and worry about that next time we show up here?
I feel
Well,
like
That's
the
Next
time we
time's problem.
No.
That's for future us to deal with.
I don't. Yeah, I don't mean to, be sound so negative, but there is a very strong chance that next time we show up here, it will be with, and he'll point to Zavrel, him needing to go into stasis. And if we not fully burn the bridge now, but, do something they intentionally are like, hey, we want you guys to do this, right? That's going to put us in a somewhat bad footing with them, right? And so they could just be like, maybe we don't want to help Zavrel this time. Maybe we could just find someone else to put into this party, or maybe this party has served its purpose and we don't need them anymore. Like, I understand where you're coming from, Sullivan, and to an extent, I agree. I don't think it's fair that we have to hide this information, but at the same time, we also have to consider this from Zavrel's perspective, right? Because if we just try to ignore this, when the time comes that we need the Sisterhood's help, they could just refuse to give it to us, because all we've done is, to an extent, betray the trust that they've given us.
And to be honest, I also see it from their perspective, in the sense that how could anyone see us as anything other than, a wild card, a risk? We are the outsiders as well. It's unfortunate, but their concerns are valid.
A wild card? We've already done what they've asked us. And we've told them that we'll continue to do what they've asked us.
Well, they're asking us to do this, and
Yes,
everyone
that's
here's
what I'm
talking
saying.
about not
We're
doing
already
it.
on uneven playing field with them.
If you take this oath, you still have the choice to break it, with the only repercussion being pain to yourself. And I don't see any world where I would want to betray who's in the Sisterhood. I don't. I think I would be okay with taking the oath.
Starling sort of looks up at you, and every person you've met here has taken the oath. In living memory, the Sisterhood have only caused any real damage to one person who tried to break the oath. And you met her earlier today. She's in stasis. 7 years. Because they're trying to help her recover her mind that they broke by mistake when she tried to reveal to the king every member of the Sisterhood. The 7.
Why
They
would she
did
do that?
by mistake.
How do you accidentally do that?
Well,
Are
they
there-
tried to prevent her. They tried to wipe her memory of who the 7 were, but from such a distance, such spells can cause other problems. She's in stasis until they can find a remedy.
Why would she want to reveal that?
We don't know why she betrayed us. There is some who believe she may be Shadowhunters.
See? They didn't even ask her why she wanted to do it before taking action.
But they couldn't, Sullivan.
They
She
need
was
to
in
do
the
so.
middle.
She was actually in the hall of the king, telling him who the 7 were when they did it, and they did it from
But
such a
couldn't
distance.
But couldn't they taken a less dramatic action, like putting her to sleep, for example?
And they weren't there to do that.
I don't think that's how the magic works,
Well,
but I don't know.
it seems that at any
It was a drastic
time-
action, and there was much argument between the Sisterhood as to the correct thing to do about it. But
But the decision was made in the heat of the moment, as it was.
it was all of the
I understand.
secrecy that the Sisterhood stands for in one moment would have been dissipated. It is the only time they've used such force. And the Sisterhood's been going for 40 years.
Only
Speak-
40?
Indeed.
Well, speaking of this poor woman, do you not fear infiltration with all this secrecy?
Of course. That's why the measures are in place.
And if, let's say, the person, one of the higher ups, was the one who's infiltrated, and they're the one keeping these in place so that they're not found out.
I think the Sisterhood the Seven have ways of controlling what is done between them. They have a voting system, but I'm not too privy to much of it.
But if, for example, and this is the most extreme case, if every single one at the same time was compromised.
Well, then we'd shatter in full. And Sogravia with it.
I was going to say, if they are able to infiltrate all 7 members of the 7, I feel like we have a much bigger problem.
Oh, I
than
didn't
just,
realise that's what Zavrel meant by
yes.
compromised. I thought Zavrel meant compromised in terms of to the king, for example. But
That in that case as well. Yeah, I mean in both cases. Yeah.
But
that would
definitely,
be.
you know, they feel like that what enables their power is their secrecy.
Would the Mage's Arcane not be able to put Zavrel in stasis?
Yes.
Then we could go to them. We already have several members within our party.
I don't see a reason to push away the Sisterhood.
Especially because part of the reason, or at least from my understanding, part of the reason we were all brought together was to try to help bring the factions together. And if we go to one of the 3 factions saying, hey, we have this this massive problem with one of our people where, you know, the Shadowhunters have learned to infiltrate inside of somebody and force the Shadow Veil into them, right? That's giving one faction a massive amount of knowledge, because while Zavrel would be in stasis, they can learn as much as they want, and they can choose whether or not to keep it or not, which would create this massive power disparity between the factions, creating even more conflict than we already have. That's why the Sisterhood is a neutral party to all this.
You mean like when we only told one faction about the teleportation circles into the Feywild?
That wasn't my choice.
Knew that was
I'm not
coming.
saying.
But
I'm not
also,
saying
what
it was.
were the others gonna do?
I'm not saying it was
realistically?
solely your choice. I'm just saying that we can't always give every piece of information to every faction.
I mean, that's
Unless
true,
you
but also
do
it's
want to
coming-
just go around to every faction letting them all know.
I mean, in the case of teleportation circles, it's only really relevant to one faction, is it not? What's the Dawn Guard? What's the Dawn Guard or the Furion Guard going to do with that over the Mage's Arcane?
Just to recap really quickly at the time, because this
magic
discussion's
realm.
already been had. The argument at the time was that there were also people from the Feywild who'd been let out the Feywild by these portals, and it was Sullivan and a couple of other people's opinions that perhaps the Dawn Guard should be apprised of this in case any random Fey turned up and started causing problems.
Yeah. Okay.
But that
That's
discussion sailed. So
Yeah.
back to this point.
No, that's fair.
So thus far, Ashrin said yes to the oath, Zavrel said yes to the oath, and Sullivan has said no to
Begrudgingly
the
so,
oath.
but yeah.
Has anybody else had any opinions?
Glacia said yes.
Okay.
I mean, I won't force it on
I don't
anyone.
mind. I'll do it.
Technically, democracy wins, but
No, I'm not
still
saying
wanna
that there
hear
should be a
everyone's
vote. I'm
side.
just seeing whether anybody else wants to throw an opinion or a reason into the mix.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I want to still hear what Fox and Obi have to say.
Well, we looks up at Sullivan, sees that he says no, and also says no.
Oh, friendship points. He's winning. Man, what about Fox? Does Fox have any direct opinion either
To be
way?
honest, you don't have to say no because it's someone else. I mean, as I'm saying, I won't force this on anyone else, and you know, this is either a unanimous thing or.
Well, it's going to be unanimous one way or the other because you can't have some of you take it and some of you not.
Exactly.
Sorry, does Fox have an opinion either way?
Good words.
I don't know. I don't think this is something he'd like to do. But I don't know. I don't really have a way to vocalize it as them.
No, that's fair.
Turn it to a fox and then say it.
As it's sort of a near split. Starling sort of. Sorry, not Sullivan. Starling sort of. It's a hard choice. The choice will be made to you within a couple of hours, as I won't be able to slip you out quietly, but in the meantime, I'll give you an hour or so to think and discuss. There is a really handsome man over there. And she sort of gets up and strides towards this beautiful looking sort of he's half orc, but he's got like a very humanoid face and then like this huge muscular chest, and all he's wearing is this sort of open jerkin. And she sort of goes up to him and puts her hand and starts speaking flirtatiously to him. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
I like the idea that she wasn't even listening to any of the discussion. She only had her eyes on him.
Pretty much.
Yeah, anyway, oath, not oath, whatever.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of Sogravia, the last Bastion. When we left off for a break, the group were in deep discussion as to whether they should take the oath of the Sisterhood or not. As Starling returns from flirting with her orc man, and she just sort of sits down. They're always gay.
Oh.
Have you come to a decision?
After, I mean, obviously it wasn't on live, but during the break, you know, I switched my mind on things after talking to everyone.
Talk us through why. Why did Sullivan change his mind?
Oh, so, you know, I feel like I made very good points. However,
Actually, better.
I feel like, you know, I feel like the party sees more benefits to keeping the relationship with the Sisterhood than necessarily Sullivan does. And Sullivan does want Zavrel to live. And so if the party thinks the Sisterhood is the best option for that, he'll agree to it. But reluctantly, and would want to do it last. But with this revolution, I will crouch down to Obi.
Revelation?
Yeah, whatever. Gee.
You are in no place, Darth. No place to be correcting people's grammar.
Well, I'm still gonna do it. Fuck you. You can't stop me.
But yeah, I will. I'll crouch down to Obi, like my eyes like kind of softening, and I'll just say, "Will you take the oath with me?"
Yeah, I will do that. Do it
Oh,
together.
they're getting married.
Obi's just like, no, I won't.
Sullivan's straight and is in love.
Yeah.
Hey.
Charlotte dead as
You
fuck.
don't even know her. You don't even know
love
her.
Oh,
that girl
she's
he met
dead.
that one time.
She's dead.
Somebody that I used to
Okay,
know.
so Starling sort of... Oh, very well. I'm glad you've come to that decision, actually. I was going to get in a whole lot of hot water if I had slipped you out. I'll
So why'd you offer?
take you to... Because I thought you
To be a
deserved the
homie.
choice.
Yo.
I'll show you to where you make the oath.
Oh wait, do we get our reward though?
Ah, yeah, you wanted to get your reward, of course.
Yeah.
Please, I've been dying to hear about this reward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so big we can't, you know, bring it into the hall or whatever.
Yeah, she leads
hope
you
it's
down
one
a
of those
corridor,
robots.
and she, yeah, right. And she takes you to
Pet elephant.
to a sort of secured area, if you like. There are guards either side of the door, and she taps on the door once and then taps on the door again. And the door is open, and there is a little tiny gnome. I mean, he is really small, even for a gnome. He's like 2 foot. And he looks up at you and he goes,
Little
"Hey,
fella.
it's ready." Starling's like, "Good." And she gestures for you all to head in.
It's a mech.
It is not a mech. Standing in front of you is a beautiful, shiny carriage.
Whoa, we got a car.
You kind of got a car, yeah.
We got a whip,
Oh,
finally.
we are
A
getting married.
sports car.
Yeah, however,
Hands and string.
this carriage is it's suitable for 12 people to sit in, as there are 4 rows of 3 seats. It is very much like a statesman's carriage. It's a deep sort of black colour with a beautiful thin red and gold markings over various parts of it, and then these sort of deep yellowy gold curtains that block out anyone from the outside. But it's a weird gift for the sister to give to you, and then he sort of hands you a small device, and he hands it to Callum. Favoritism being shown, obviously.
Thank you, brother.
He
And
hands
then
him the keys.
gestures back and goes, "Take it away!"
Beep, beep. Don't mind if I do.
And as you beep beep, no, as you take the device, you will quickly identify that it has one button on it. That's it, just one button.
Boop.
It's not always too big, as it is now approximately 6 inches in length.
So cute.
He looks at you and he says,
Look at this.
he says, please try not to have any life forms inside it when you make it smaller. I haven't tested that, but I assume...
I really want to know what happens. Okay.
Perhaps we could try with a test
Good
subject.
idea.
What if it's inside a creature when you make it bigger?
Oh, well that... I don't
That would
think
result in a
well.
lot of...
Yeah.
What's that giant undead dragon we've been trying to chase down? We'll throw it in its mouth and just make it big.
Oh, this is fantastic.
It can be pushed by human means, I guess, or by magical means, but I would probably just secure a couple of horses to it. That being said, they could be magical horses if you really wanted.
Is that like an offer, or are you just saying?
Thank you.
Oh, how you pull it along is entirely up to you. The craft is my creation. The rest is up to you.
Does it have a hitch? Can we put the wagon on the carriage?
No.
Just started
You also don't have a wagon with you, as you left that where Rockus is.
Oh, shucks.
Oh shit! Wait a minute.
Are you? Well, no, you wouldn't have left him. No, you would have left him at home because you took the
Yeah,
Guffbuster death carriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my horse is still there.
Nah, horses are
It'll come back.
magnificent creatures.
They'll drop
that
him off at home.
magically vanish and reappear where they're meant to be. But yeah, you could pull this carriage with just 2 phantom steeds if one wished, for example.
Oh, delightful.
Even ones with horseshoes of a zephyr.
Ooh.
Hey!
Yeah. Yeah, but if you had them, they're in Soulforged, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in this world.
Campaign transition.
Damn it.
But yeah, I mean, there are plenty of places where you can buy all sorts of things like that, including magical mounts. But for now, he has given you basically a fold-up carriage or a pop-up carriage, if you like. I haven't put it on D&D Beyond, but what the important things are, it has 12 seats plus a driver's seat up front, or drover's seat, as they're actually called. I discovered recently, which I thought was to do with pushing herds, but fuck it, as you do. And it is a very plush inside. It is permanently under the effects of Leomund's tiny hut.
Ooh,
on the
that's
inside.
cool.
A handsome gift, and once you've clicked it away, Callum, it's all yours. I mean, it belongs to the group, but it's Callum you hand the device to. because
Already
you're
started engraving my name on it, and I will just walk away so there's just a C on it now for no reason.
But
It
yes.
stays really small, like when we make it big, so there's just a little tiny C that we can't see.
Yeah, so that is your reward. And as you go to leave it, begging your pardon, but I was told to give you this as well, just as an extra. And he will give you a small wand, which inscribed down the side is M, 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 in lots of little, all the way down in one line. And the M's get slightly smaller as they point towards the end. It fires magic missiles.
Ah, yes, that makes sense.
Yes, it's a magic missiles wand with a stutter.
Does
but yes.
it fire magic missiles based on how many M's there are?
Nope. It fires them based on how many charges you use. So there's one wand of magic missiles in a foldaway carriage. Yeah. You're going to deal with that as you wish. Cool.
Alright, let's go get tattoos, or whatever.
Starling sort of nods and... "Oh, I'll take you to the oath room. And as you get to this sort of chamber, it's sort of got this vaunted marble entrance with this triangulated gold engraved marking, and it really does seem to be engraved with real gold, which is incredibly expensive. Not necessarily, as long as the gold happened prior to the loss of the gold mines. So maybe this building has existed for over 150 years.
I mean, one of them's been here for 103, so maybe.
You know, the Sisterhood's only existed for 40.
Yeah, I meant to ask about that, but I forgot.
Well, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fine.
and
can't
standing in
talk
front
about
is
it
this
anyway, so-
sort of large metal iron portcullis. And as Starling sort of reaches, the guards sort of tap their spears, and the portcullis lowers down, and these huge marble doors, or marble-covered doors, you would guess, slowly open up. And there is a podium with a book at the center, a very large leather book, which is open to about 2/3 of the way through. And standing behind it are 3 of the sisters, each masked. And they sort of look out the door and call you in one by one. Ashrin,
Wow.
by glory of the alphabet, you're called in first.
I was really hoping you'd say Sullivan because I would have laughed so
That would have
hard.
been so funny.
Totally gonna volunteer first anyway. Have
Okay.
these 3 just been standing there this whole time while we've been conversing at the bar? They've just been standing there behind this book. Okay.
Yeah. And as you get in, one of them says very quietly in that sort of voice neutral mode, "Let's make this expedient."
I wonder why.
Okay.
Okay, and as you are stood before the book, they gesture towards the page and they hand you a quill for you to write your name. And once,
Write my name.
and as you write it, the one at the front sort of runs their fingers along the name itself, and then turns to you and says, "Do you, Ashrin, swear not to reveal the identities of any one of the 7 outside of these walls?" You see one of the sisters' heads sort of twitch to the side slightly, and then nod. Give me an insight check, and tell me if you swear.
The insight check is 16.
You think that maybe the sister wasn't expecting those words? Certainly you weren't.
Yeah. I swear.
By the moon and the stars up above.
You need to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, how rude.
That one.
17.
Yeah, you feel a slight sort of wave of weakness, and you see, like, where your name is written, the letters sort of crystallize slightly in red before going back to their original color. You feel like sort of almost like a little lightheaded as it's like it's drained a bit of your blood to fill out the words. The sisters all nod and gesture for you to leave.
That was the only vow.
That was the only vow.
That's weird.
I will give a special nod directly at the one who voiced the oath.
And as you come out, they call Callum in.
Yep. Here I am.
And one of the sisters looks to Callum and... Welcome. And then hesitates for a moment, and after a while she sort of shakes her head. Do you bleed?
You will.
No.
I see. Well, for propriety's sake, and she gestures with the quill for you to write.
Yep.
And
okay.
you write your name. And she says, "Do you, Callum, swear not to reveal the identities of any one of the 7 outside of these walls?"
Yes, I swear.
And you feel nothing at all. You see a magic occur before you that doesn't seem to quite touch you.
Good oath.
With your magical knowledge, you know that oath is not magically binding for you. Unlike everyone else.
I will not make any mention of that.
No, but they seem aware of it and have decided that they're okay with that.
Yeah, what are they realistically gonna do?
And then they call up Fox. And they hand you a quill. Welcome. If you'd kindly write your name. What do you write?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Raucous Underdark.
Never gets old.
I write what everyone calls me.
Good. And that is fine. And then they motion, and do you, Fox, swear not to reveal the identities of any one of the 7 outside of these walls.
I swear.
They nod and gesture and call Glacius.
I'll come inside.
Yep. They give you a quill and ask, "Can you write?" No, they don't really.
No reason.
Ask you to write your name.
I was gonna joke. It took everything for me to not just be like, he writes Ruckus Underdown.
Yep.
No,
And
write
after
his
you've written your
name.
name, they say to you, Glacius, swear not to reveal the identities of any one of the 7 outside of these walls.
Who are the 7? Yeah.
In it, tell us first, and then we'll promise not to tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us the other ones first. We want to know.
Exactly. All I know is I know my friends that are up there, but they're not the
and then they will call Obi and ask you to write your name with the quill.
Real name.
No gimmicks.
Real name.
No gimmicks, no tricks.
You don't know
No
his real name.
gimmicks.
And
Yes, he'll write his name down.
do you, Obi, swear not to reveal the identity of any one of the 7 outside of these walls?
Yeah.
And as you say this, I need you to make a con save, please.
Oh god.
It hasn't applied to everyone, that is for certain.
Obi, no.
And yeah, Obi, you feel a slight shaking and trembling as
Okay.
you see the blood sort of sparkle along the words, and one of the sisters, not the one who spoke, sort of reaches over and sort of gestures, like puts a hand on your back, like almost holding you up but not quite, and just saying, "Thank you. Well, go in peace." And then Sullivan is called.
Yeah, I solemnly walk through.
You Sullivanly?
I see
Yeah.
what he did.
And
Just being a little sullen.
she looks at you and hands you a
I'm gonna
quill.
fucking
And,
shoot him.
if you would write your name, please.
Does the quill have ink?
Yes.
I like hover my hand over the assumably paper
She leans in
for
and
a
says,
moment.
"Do you have doubts?"
I have concerns.
Please, voice them.
I fear that our 2 groups, I believe our relationship isn't exactly equal. And I also believe that what you're suggesting is a very big risk to put into someone else's hands. That at any moment that you deem necessary, you could impact our minds to a very severe, in very severe ways.
I see Starling's told you in full about the vow. We agree with you. We 3. The vow we ask you to take is not the same as that Starling has said, but merely not to reveal the identities of the 3 of us to anyone that you know, that you speak to outside of the walls of the Sisterhood. That is all.
Did the other sisters not know?
No. Which is why it would be very helpful if we make this as quick as possible before we're due to switch roles.
Very well, but I have questions.
Oh my god.
And I hope that in time you'll find the answers you seek. Do you, Sullivan, swear not to reveal the identities of the 7 outside of these walls?
I swear. And I will sign my name. He has very nice handwriting.
Yeah, you had already written your name, and you will see.
Oh, sorry.
He writes it again.
You will see sort of a little bit of sort of a flourish through it as the blood is written, but you don't feel weakened or in any way, or sort of.
Grr.
And,
Sure, that's why.
And she gestures and thank you, Sullivan.
I will leave.
And
Or
Zavrel.
maybe I won't. No, I will.
You're called in, Zavrel. handed a quill and asked to write your name.
Using my extensive calligraphy skills, I'll sign the fanciest name of Zavrel they would have ever seen.
If a
Make a
mask could
calligraphy
roll its
check.
eyes, it would.
You gotta one-up
It says,
Sullivan.
do you, Zavrel, swear not to reveal the identities of the 7 outside of these walls?
Only the identities of the 7.
She gestures quite firmly to the walls that she is standing within. Only the 7.
Then you have my word.
And as you
My oath will not be broken.
As you swear, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please. As the words glisten with blood.
23.
You hold steady. As you finish this, one of the sisters takes away her mask. And Solara looks at you and says, how are you feeling after the healing? She is not the one that spoke the original oath.
I'm doing okay, but the experience was quite dreadful.
For me also. I felt every bit of pain you did. But hopefully it should stand you in good stead for now.
Are you okay?
Yeah, just don't wait too long before coming back, right?
We don't have to go through that again, do we?
No, the process of going into stasis is far worse.
Wonderful. I'm going to love this, surely. Well, before you do pop me in the old freezer, so to speak, would you be so kind as to give me some pain-numbing before I do so?
I would
That'd
if
be
it made any
appreciated.
difference.
Thank you very much.
Suspending your mind is quite an uncomfortable procedure. But don't worry, I've done it 3 times on myself. You'll be okay.
Oh, so at least I have the comfort in knowing your practice.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's had it done on herself 3 times. She's done it to others hundreds of times. She's,
Oh, excellent. I have nothing to worry about.
You're the only hands you could be in that are more secure than mine or my mother's. Travel well, Zavrel. Stay safe. And as she's speaking, one of the other 2 sisters who was masked comes over and speaks quietly to Starling. And she is the one who changed the words of the oath. And she puts something in Starling's hand, like, quite gently, and then looks at you all and good luck. Don't leave it too long. The 3rd sister approaches, and as she comes out, she sort of looks at you all, and you were given a boon today. Please see that you hold to it. Travel safely.
We'll try.
She was the one who looked surprised at the change of the oath, but allowed it to proceed.
You know, they said we can't speak about it. No one ever said we can't pass notes to each other.
Haha! Checkmate, bitch.
You can
We're
speak
like
to
a
each other
5-year-old
about it.
girl.
You can speak to each other about it because you wouldn't be revealing the nature because they already know.
I see.
Yeah, that was specifically the words we cannot reveal.
And as they all go, Starling sort of turns something over in her hand and looks at it, and she sort of looks at you with a look of regret in her eyes. And she hands you a pair of rings. She hands them to Zavrel. These are to return to the Sisterhood. One creates a teleportation ring, which you can travel through, and the other one permits you to pass through it. As you look at her, anybody with a passive insight of 16 or above will note that she says this with an air of regret and sadness.
Damn it, I'm 1 point short.
I have a 16. Go.
We should head out soon, if you're ready.
Yeah, let's get out of your guys' hair.
I'm coming with you for now.
Okay. Then
I'm to take you
Bless
wherever
him.
you wish. Within the limits of my abilities.
Okay.
that leads to another question.
Mm-hmm.
Where to?
Home?
I don't know. We got some giants we gotta go kill, don't we?
Well, wherever you're gonna go, you can get there from Van Hania via the Magus Arcane. So, the suggestion is that you start off by going home.
Yeah, let's go home. I want to sleep in my own bed.
Maybe we should get Zavrel some gloves as to not draw attention.
Zavrel, as you look down at your hand, you don't see that blackness in your hand.
Oh,
If
well,
you
fuck me
remember,
then.
guys, you saw it move up behind his eyes. You saw that darkness behind his eyes. That's where it's residing now.
Ugh.
Maybe we should get Zavrel some sunglasses so that people don't get suspicious.
Yeah, that I.
Maybe we should get Zavrel some eyeshadow.
And as you all walk with Starling to the teleportation chamber that you came into, you note that she walks quite slowly and a little sort of ahead and slightly distancing herself from you.
What's her problem?
I think she got fired.
Oh, I think that red mark she had before was from being bitch slapped.
Probably, but that doesn't necessarily mean she wasn't not fired then.
Why not both? You're fired.
Bitch fired.
She leads you to the courtyard, and so to your home.
Yeah.
To home.
I need more potatoes.
And she sort of sniffs and looks a little sad and gestures at the ground. The teleportation circle comes up and she steps into it and gestures for you to join her.
Great.
I'll follow.
And when you guys arrive at your home, Starling is staring at something in her own hand.
Is it that Ox phone number?
It is a broken ring.
Oh no!
Oh, she is not
She
allowed
did
that.
get
She
fired.
did get kicked out.
And she sort of looks about and then tosses it into the river. I'm at your disposal when you need me, but I have some business to attend to in Van Hania first. Just call to me if you need. You have
I'll
sending,
come
right?
running.
She knows.
More like writing.
Stay safe, Zavrel.
I'll try my damnedest.
She will grab her beautiful tasseled white horse that is miraculously in your stable. I'm sure that's where she left it. I'm sure that's where she left it. She will
I have no doubt we'll be calling for you soon.
ride off into the distance.
Into the sunset?
We have our
You
very
are-
first NPC companion.
You are fairly certain that
She lives with us now.
she has definitely been distanced from the Sisterhood in one way or another. She can't. The ring that was broken is the ring she used to take you there the first time.
But she doesn't know that the vow was switched, right?
She doesn't. Or you don't know if she does, because one of the sisters did come up and speak very quietly to her before you left.
I see. But that might have been
But
the
it could have been
Magus
anything.
order.
Well, they also gave her the rings that she gave to Zavrel.
I see. So it could have been that.
Yeah, it is your belief that that is probably when she was told that she wouldn't be able to teleport back.
You're
She
fired.
really
Give
gave
him the
everything
rings.
for this.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was a small room. I probably could have listened.
Yeah,
I was wondering
there was
why
a lot
it was
of-
getting sad at
My
the
passive
end.
perception's up to 24 now.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got the impression of that, but there was a lot of sort of various other noises going on. But yeah, you can all pretty much guarantee that at that moment, Starling was told, give these rings to Zavrel because you can't come back here anymore.
Bitch.
She's probably gone to drink her worries away.
Probably.
For a little bit.
In the meantime,
She could
however,
come
you're
with
home.
us.
No,
Let her
she's
sulk.
left to Van Hania. She said she had some
Let
business to
her
attend to. But
Seriously,
she would see
we're
you
not
shortly.
like tight like that, you know? She's going through this.
Callum's just like, we're not a charity.
Callum's like, you
I
lost your
meant-
job and what?
Sorry,
She doesn't
Callum,
need us hanging around while she's, dealing with stuff. So let's let her have her time to herself.
Alright, don't sound too mad about it, Callum.
So who does that make up
mean, I'm
of
not
contact
that
now
pressed.
within the Sisterhood?
Kilana.
Kailana. It's always been Kailana.
Jylock? Well, for me, it's Jylock.
It's still Kailana, but Starling's now got no involvement.
You don't know for anything for certain, but that appears to be the case. She can't go back there via her teleportation ring.
We're all speculating.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of imagine it to be like the ring in that the sorcerers use in Doctor Strange. Those rings.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The teleportation rings, yeah.
Okay.
Funny enough, that's something I haven't seen.
No Marvel fans like.
I got it.
It's called
Sorry.
a sling ring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
it's
it was.
called.
I
Um,
couldn't remember.
You're at
Never
home.
seen a Doctor
You've just got
Strange.
back here, and she's ridden off. What we doing?
What time is it?
About 6:30 in the evening.
Let's go to
Well,
bed. We
Let's
haven't
go
had
to
a
town.
rest yet.
What?
You already know what I'm doing.
I understand.
Drink.
Probably talking to those goblins.
Okay, one
That's-
by one,
that's
please. Let's
exactly
start
what-
with Matt. Sorry, you're doing what?
I'm going to find my goblin friends. to
Okay,
go
so
hang out
as
with
you
them.
head in, there is a man in your kitchen who is not a
Oh,
goblin. He's a
God.
humanoid. And he is showing Thick Skull how to skin a fish.
The dude.
It is your friendly neighborhood, friendly neighbor from across the border. What was his name? Roland? Is that right?
Fisherman.
That sounds right.
Roland
That
sounds
sounds
right.
familiar.
That's his name now.
He was the one who Thick Skull was fishing with last time you visited. And he looks up and, oh, goodness me, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. I can... And he gestures towards the door.
No, stay.
How does his culinary skills look in the kitchen?
He's skinning a fish. That's not easy work.
It's fine. I'm gonna go to bed. We haven't
He
had
looks
a
at you
long
and-
rest yet.
He looks out the window and it's like 6:30 in the evening. And he's like, you're expecting impending
Still light
battle.
out.
He's getting old, you know.
Yeah.
He hasn't even made his dinner yet.
Exactly. Have a short. Damn it, Cassius. Feed the people before you go to bed. What's wrong with you, cook?
Fine.
But yeah, I mean, you can take a short rest if you need it. Like, but you don't need.
Everyone's
a long
like,
rest.
Glacius is sleeping a lot recently.
Yeah.
Well, the goblin can make us dinner.
Yeah. But you do not see your two friends, Sheep's Bane and Pig Sticker. They are nowhere to be seen. Thick Skull and Fat Skull are both in the kitchen. Fat Skull is sat at the end of the table, and he seems to be engraving on the table, or on the end of the table. The other two are nowhere to be seen. Yeah, as you come over and look, he's sort of doing little intricate lines to make a nice little pattern. We'll take a short rest then. Like, you would have taken a short rest post the fight.
I know. I didn't realize that I was that low. I thought I was at like 50 or something.
Nobody's even
Like,
blinked at you
Oh.
being on the brink of death. No, you've all been fine. You've all been, healed up enough that it's relevant. But yeah, as I said, Pig's Bane, Sheep's Bane, and
Pig
Pig
Bane.
Sticker are nowhere to
Oh
be
my
seen.
goodness.
Not again.
Well, they're not painting the front door this
They'll
time.
come back surely.
I mean, you haven't
we
been
check the
downstairs or upstairs
basement?
yet, exactly. Yeah, you can go down to the basement if you want. And you will hear an endless sort of chanting.
Is it Maglubiet? Maglubiet?
No, it's a lengthy chant in Goblin that Sullivan, catching the end of, will know is like an apology. They're apologizing to their god, or they're begging for forgiveness, more specifically.
Hey guys, what are you doing?
I don't
What
think
have
we
they
should
done?
disturb them.
They're doing random chanting. In
They're doing ominous chanting. in
They
our
turn
I'll
house.
go,
back
I'll go
towards you,
talk to him.
and they both sort of
barge in.
nod, and we beg forgiveness from Maglubiet.
What did you do?
Why?
We let the blood spill.
Oh, okay, nothing important.
Of course, it's important.
What blood?
Well, the pig that we sacrificed for Maglubiet, we drained the blood into the sacred bowl, but we spilt it upstairs, and then the blood didn't make it to the altar, so we're begging his forgiveness.
What
Oh,
pig?
okay.
Oh, it's... Thick Skull said it smelled and it had to go. So we ate it.
Did he at least cook it right? Or did you eat it
It
raw?
was alright. I had bacon sandwiches.
Hey,
I'll make some hot dogs.
If it was bacon, then it's definitely cooked.
Yes, it was
Not
definitely
true.
cooked.
You can have.
You
can have raw bacon.
Sorry, Ashrin, did you say something?
whose pig was it?
It was wild. Give me an
Yeah.
insight check on that. As he
He's lying.
looks to his friend.
don't
He
believe
rolled.
that.
He rolled a
Oh!
10. He rolled a 10 on his deception check.
I rolled a 28.
Yeah. He sort of shuffles awkwardly from. it was in a field on its own. That makes it wild, right? Right? And he sort of elbows Sheepsbane, and Sheepsbane's like, wild.
Yes.
Farmer Roland says that it's paid for.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thick Skull's really mad.
Why?
Well, because we had to pay for the pig, and because of we spilled the blood on his new carpet.
Oh no.
Not
Where'd
the
you get a new carpet?
Well, it's his, I think. Like,
Nope.
So you remember the goblins have rooms as well, like little rooms.
Oh, you got some furniture. Yeah, I want to see their rooms.
Yeah, so they've got rooms
Right,
upstairs, except for Thick Skull, who has his little pottery
I'm the
room.
dad who doesn't not.
So he's got his little pottery room. So he's got like he'd had edged carpet put around the central pottery area, and you'll see that it's a beautiful cream color with like this dark purple splodging all the way across the front.
Oh dear.
No.
And as he sees you go in, he says, "Ah, yes, you've seen it. I'm not mad. I'm just going to kill him."
That's
No,
understandable.
don't do that. Don't kill him. No Callum, no Sid.
Pig sticker.
I
Pig
have something really
spiller.
important to tell you all. Something really important to tell you all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And they all sort of line up awkwardly along the wall like they're in trouble.
Yeah, we made a new friend.
Oh?
He's like me. His name is Jylok. If he ever comes to the house and we're not here, you can let him in. He's a friend.
He's like Obi?
He's like Obi.
Yeah. Okay. I probably should have told you he's not blue, though. He's like you.
Obi's not blue either. It's okay.
What?
It works
Obi's
out.
white. Obi's white. I don't know why I said blue. Oh, it's because you wear blue,
He
isn't
has
it?
a blue cape.
Yeah. Sorry, I got confused in my head. Yes, he is neither white nor blue. Jylok is a silver kobold.
Fancy.
Silver.
Cute.
Almost like white, but shiny.
He's like
Shinier
like
Obi.
Obi, but shiny. I love it. All right. Okay, got it. Anyone like Obi, but a different color, we should feed them. Yeah.
I mean, not
But
anyone.
Don't feed each other to each other though. Don't do that.
Yeah, Thick Skull sort of looks over at Pig Sticker and is like, yeah. No feeding each other to each other. Right.
I'm gonna whisper to Ashrin to come find me when she has a moment, and then I am going to go outside.
Oh,
Rendezvous.
Okay. You doing anything
will-
specific outside?
I'm not interested.
I'll this bridge right here that's next to the house. I'll be standing, like looking over, like on the other side, looking
Yeah.
down the river.
Looking down the creek.
Yes.
Sullivan, I'm leaving.
I'll stand there for a moment, realizing I have nothing else I was planning to do, and just turn and walk after him, like 5 foot behind.
Yeah, as the two of you join up by the bridge, the goblins sort of all look together at Obi and, is that everything?
Yeah, that's it.
And they sort of nod, and then like Fat Skull goes straight back. Thick Skull, sorry, goes straight back to. One of them goes back to the fish. The other one goes back to carving on the table. Pig Sticker and Sheepsbane return to the altar of Maglubiet to beg for forgiveness for the next 2.5 days. Sullivan and Ashrin on the bridge outside.
Yeah, once we get there, not realizing that she, didn't want to stay much longer. Well, this is dramatic. You know how I had worries about the Sisterhood?
Yes. It
Well,
was
now I
like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, well, now I have new worries. The
Like?
7 aren't fully on the same side. They changed the vow and didn't want the others to know. Why?
Have you seen our party? Have you seen yourself and Glacius?
Yeah.
A group doesn't have to be in complete agreement to be effective. In fact, that would be the worst kind of group because you'd never have disagreements and never be able to talk them out.
Except we're not the ones who have a secret agency that gathers intel on the country. And I also maybe blissfully unaware, but I'd like to hope that I don't expect everyone to share their deepest, darkest secrets with each other in our group, but I'd hope that if there was something urgent or drastic, that we would let each other know.
And I think we would. If it was life-threatening.
Which it kind of is now. And I like softly chuckle.
I don't think it's that surprising that a secret organization has secrets, even if those secrets are from each other.
Secretception, sorry.
I know that it sounds crazy. I just fear that if infighting occurs within them and the kind of power that they have, it could be disastrous. And we've just signed ourselves up to them.
We've signed ourselves up to not reveal their identity. We have not vowed to uphold their values. We have not vowed to fight for them with all our lives. We've stated we will not give away their identities.
But they now have access to us. It doesn't matter if we don't say anything. They could theoretically pull the switch at any moment.
I'd be surprised if it worked like that. Magic's not really my forte, but
Me either. I'll just kind of gesture like I'm no wizard.
I don't see it as that big of a risk. And the fact is, none of these organizations are on the same page as themselves. They're all a complete mess.
That's true. As much as I hate to admit it, it's true. For all of them. Do you think Zavrel will survive?
There's a lot of head shaking going on over here.
I know we're gonna do everything we can to try to make that happen.
Do you think the Shadowlands are as bad as they say?
Probably worse.
Well, these are thoughts for another day, and I'll kind of like sniff the air. I think dinner's nearly ready.
Potato!
Trying to naturally exit this conversation.
Oh, Mom said dinner's ready. Sorry, gotta go.
Yep. Okay. But indeed, dinner is ready. It is a beautiful selection of freshly caught fish, served
Potato
with
salad.
chips and mashed potatoes and a large variety of garden vegetables that appear to be growing quite well. That being said, the one person who might be eating the garden vegetables is probably in the garden right now because something has happened to your beautiful herb patch, Fox. When you cast, was it plant growth on it that doubles the yield? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. We haven't really returned since, but as you look over the herbs, you realise that quite a few of them are ready for the picking. And in fact, Thickskull has told you that he's purposely not touched that area, though. Like, he's getting worried that if you didn't come back soon, he would need to pick them for you, because they're sort of getting to the point where their yield is ready. So I think you have a list somewhere in your DMs of everything that was planted. So you are able to extract your full quota of herbs doubled. As and when you wish. Just double checking. You're not... I don't suppose you have by any chance the date on which you spoke to the alchemist woman who said she would send you a package. Do you remember you made an agreement with her to send like a quota of seeds on a regular basis?
You signed up for the seed catalog?
I don't know if I've got the date somewhere. But
I not got that date.
But I think we're currently on Shez the 26th at 7 p.m. So yeah, I have got the date here. You are due them tomorrow. So hopefully someone turns up.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought it was today, but it isn't. It's tomorrow. So hopefully in the morning someone turns up with your promised seeds, and if they don't, well, fuck them. But yes, you are also able to collect your herbs.
Herbs.
On over dinner, Thick Skull sort of takes Callum to the side and is like, "Hey, I made this."
Ooh, what did he make?
Yeah, so it is a small piece of pottery. It is what looks like a pottery ball. And sticking out of it is a small piece of string.
Okay.
It says, inside is some explosive oil.
What do we got here? Oh, I thought I was going to pull the string and something would pop out.
No, I think it'll go boom.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Should we... How many did you make? Can we test it?
One.
Okay.
I mean, I made lots, but only one lot of oil. And he will say, maybe we go to the workshop?
Yeah.
And he will show you in the
Callum's
workshop.
already in the workshop.
That he has made various ones of these pottery balls. And he's got the strings
so
next to
cute.
them. And there's a little tiny funnel with which he can pour in the liquid. And then when you finish with that, you put the string in.
Perfect.
So these are up to you
Great.
guys how many more you make and what you make in them. Whether you buy the oil to put in them or whether you make it or whatever. Or you ask your herbalists and your poisoners to make it. But this one he has poured the explosive liquid into to make a fire bomb.
Nice.
I think that's what it's called on D&D Beyond, so you can go ahead and add one of those to your inventory, and then you've got lots of empty bomb cases, if you want to make others.
Yeah, which goblin was this again?
This is Thick Skull, I think. I can never remember which one does the pottery.
Thick Skull, my man.
Yeah, let's have a look. Shared notes.
Fat Skull does pottery.
Fat Skull's the pottery guy.
Fat
He's planting
Skull,
pottery, and Thick
my
Skull's
man.
Thick Skull's the one who's doing the carving on the table.
Okay, Fat Skull.
Because
This
he's
is great.
into like building and carpentry and stuff. So this is Thick Skull.
Oh, this is Thick Skull.
Yeah, and it is a firebomb. Correct, that is the right one.
Great.
It is 1d8 fire damage to a 5-foot space. It says it's glass, but it's not. It's pottery.
Well, this is all great. How did you figure this out? I'll give him a Werther's original also.
He sort of pops it in and he sort of looks very happy with himself. And I've been reading.
Oh?
Yeah.
Do these guys know how to read? This is news to me.
A little bit. Roland's teaching us.
Oh, this is awesome.
And he'll show you that he's got like what is basically an oldie worldy magazine. And it's it says a gnome's guide to making things go boom.
Yes,
It's written by Nan Foodle.
Yeah, this is first grade in gnome school.
Yeah. Ironically, Nan Foodle is somebody you've met. Wait, no, that's not his name, is it? Was it Nan Foodle or was it the other guy? You met this guy on the way to
The guy blew up the hills?
Yes, the guy who said that it shouldn't have blown up the hills. And he gave Obi some bombs.
Flebloxican?
Ah, yes, Flebloxicum. Yeah, Flebloxicum.
The bomb to Callum just.
He gave...
has those bombs.
Yeah, so Obi basically said to him, you know, if it's blowing up things up so easy, then why can't you give us things to blow things up? And then he was like,
yes, that was great.
Yeah. So it was him that gave, that wrote this guide to making things go boom.
Perfect.
And Thick Skull, Fat Skull is Thick Skull is studying it in depth.
Well, this is great. Keep up the good work.
I will. Thank you.
Really impressed with this. Well done.
Thanks for
Pat
the sweet.
him on the head.
He's very happy. What do you do with the carriage? Is it still miniature, or are you like putting it up in maxi form outside?
Oh yeah, I was gonna park it right outside.
Beautiful.
You know, get a good wax going so everyone can, all the neighbors can be envious.
Yes, the goblins are sort of standing on the balcony outside the window, sort of looking at it, going, "Oh my god, it's so cool! It's so cool!" Thick Skull is admonishing to the others that they shouldn't touch it. And then he sort of looks at Pig Sticker and goes, "Because you always make a mess."
Oh, he's really mad.
He's fuming about his carpet. But with that, unless there is anything else you would like to do in the home in the evening, you may all take a long rest. And be woken up by the ding-dong...
I have one quick thing I want to do.
Yep.
I'm going to go to... I don't know. I need either Fat Skull or Thick Skull to make me a mask. I'm going to ask them.
A mask? What kind of mask?
A mask that I can wear.
Yeah, thanks. That's good. What's it gonna look like?
It's up to their interpretation. What they
want. Cool.
A mask.
So whilst it's Thick Skull who would make this out of pottery. Sheepsbane and Pig Sticker are determined that it should look like one of two things: either a pig or Maglubiet.
Ooh, what does Maglubiet look like?
Not a pig, so I'll take the Maglubiet option.
Yeah.
Oh man. I was hoping for Majora.
They don't know what that is.
You will.
Lest you be met with a terrible fate.
3 days.
Oh,
no.
Not like
Not
this.
again.
Damn it.
Okay. Basically, Pig Sticker will show you that that's what a Maglubiet mask looks like.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
He doesn't know how to do the fire in the eyes, but he can do the
We'll
rest.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Can work something out.
Where's Darth's face?
Why is Darth's face? I don't
Where?
know.
Where?
It's
I always ask why is Darth's face.
Right.
I never ask how
No,
is Darth's
he's
face.
talking on the stream.
Yeah, I know. Because
When
last
is
week,
Darth's face?
Wi-Fi died last week, so you just...
Yeah, you're hiding behind Jay.
Oh.
There we go.
Because he's so scared.
Cool. Anyway, that's what Maglubiet looks like, so that's the mask you'll get. But other than that, you can all take a long rest and be woken by the ding, ding, ding of a
have
bell.
things.
Go on, sorry. More
Oh
things,
my
more
God.
things.
Yeah, so the whole time, I never went inside, even for dinner.
Naturally.
Ever since we got, front yard, clean grass, but ever since we got back, little yellow poppies have just randomly sprouted in random spots, subconsciously. If for those that don't know, yellow poppies in particular represent worry and anxiety.
oh no.
Oh.
And from a Jay perspective, as opposed to from a Fox perspective, can we get a slight insight as to what was it the oath or something else that might have been causing that anxiety?
No, it's essentially a deathly illness that is affecting someone, and this is kind of the first. Fox has healed a lot of people, and takes pride in healing others, and cares about healing. But this is kind of the first time.
Okay. That makes sense.
But this is kind of like the first instance where he cares about the person
Oh,
who's sick. Because
not traditional.
He cared about winning before.
Well, that makes sense.
well, this is because this is the first time that there's been some form of connection between other
Yeah.
people.
That makes sense.
So actually worrying about that person and like, this is a death sentence unless the cure's found.
Yeah, and not only that, right, but it's also a disease that's unnatural. It's not something that you would have come across before, and perhaps is even not within the realms of normal healing, which has got to be quite frightening as a healer, right, to understand that there's something that is not healed by healing, but instead by some other weird something. Yeah, so I can understand that a lot.
Yeah, and so like as night falls and the stars come out, I would wish to ritual cast divination.
I see. And what are you asking?
Sort of imploring to my starry friends, if a cure does exist in this world for Zavrel,
Just specifically, does it exist?
yes, in particular, is it something that can exist?
Yes.
All right.
And with that, you get a sense of it definitely exists, but it might not exist for Zavrel.
Yikes.
That's not to say that it wouldn't work on Zavrel, just to give a little bit more insight there, because it's normally the DM would reply with a short phrase. So yes, but not necessarily for Zavrel. It does exist. Whether you can get it to Zavrel is the doubt.
Right.
Yeah, not saying it might. Not saying it might not work on Zavrel. I didn't realize that when the sounds fade, that a little face appears on the screen. Seeing the little monocle appear over Josh really made me laugh. So the cure definitely exists somewhere, but whether it is attainable for Zavrel is another question. Just as you go to sort of turn your head away post prayer, post commune, I don't know quite how to phrase it.
It's a communion between celestial spirits.
You see what is like a shooting star, but it falls from the sky and almost fades out as it falls. You would know that to mean it's sort of like the death of a star or the end of a star's life. Take what symbolicism from that you wish.
All right.
He dead.
Not currently. That being said, as you take a long rest, and before we get woken up by the ding ding, oh my god!
I'm sorry.
I will get here. You've had your moment with Ashrin. What now?
No. So as me and Ashton walk back to the house to go to dinner, I'll notice the poppies growing. I'll say, "Oh, look how lovely the poppies are."
That's
beautiful.
Is this the first time that somebody's lost inspiration mid-session? Okay. We're going to bed. I don't care if you had something to do. You can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's for the morning because someone's gonna wake up to it.
Yes, exactly. Before we reach the morning, we must get to the Zavrel point. Okay, so Zavrel, as you sleep through the night, you're tossing and turning a little bit, struggling with bad dreams, really. Mostly dreams, memories of the pain that you were going through in that operation. But little
I
thoughts.
wish I could have had that memory wipe.
But little moments as well of the thoughts of, like, will I survive? What's it going to feel like? What's the process going to be like? How's it going to feel? And over the course of the night, you lose 75 max hit. No, you don't really. Can you imagine just like you're down to 10?
That's what the shoes are.
I just want to remind you that when you take a long rest, it will reset your HP. So you need to once again remove that 5 maximum hit points. You'll need to do that each time you long rest. But at the moment, it is only the 5. You do feel...
Certainly don't have 8 weeks then. I have like 8 days.
What? No. I'm saying you don't lose any more than you already had.
Right, yeah.
When you long rest, it will reset it to 0, like D&D Beyond will. So a reminder to
Okay,
remove those 5. Yeah. But as you sort of wake up in the morning, almost before the dawn has arrived, you feel this sort of desperate weakness, and you find yourself reaching for that golden flask you were given. Already, like sort of desperately in need of it, feeling worn out, feeling dry, feeling unrested. You know, that's sort of horrible when you've had that fever sleep and you woke up and you don't feel like you've rested at all. That's how you feel. And with those 2 drips from that golden flask that you feel like desperate to take it, you shake it and one comes out, and you shake it again, another one comes out, and you're almost desperately going to grab for another one. But you feel your sort of mouth like refluidificated. Rehydrated is the word I was looking for.
Fluidificated.
Yeah, well, the same, I mean the same thing.
Just on a sheer morbid curiosity, it's like, I wonder what would happen on a 3rd drop.
You can try it, but you'll instantly die.
Instantly die.
Of course, everything that you do that's against the DM's words, you instantly die to. But you feel this sort of slight warmth spread through your throat and indeed through your body, and you just about feel the energy to get up. And just as you're thinking about whether you should or shouldn't get up, you just hear this sort of dong, dong, dong clanging of the bell at the door.
Wait, before that.
Yeah, no, before that. And you're all woken up by this endless bell ringing. And you see Pigsticker and Sheepsbane sort of running around the kitchen going, "It's here, it's here, it's here, it's here!" They're really excited.
It's not Christmas. What is this?
How far are we from Christmas in game?
An eternity. Doesn't exist.
Okay.
It just happened.
But you are in spring. Okay, you're in spring. Exactly. You haven't even had the first birth yet. You're in spring. So way away from midwinter, which is what that would be. Oh, Winterfest.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
Yeah. Nevertheless, ding, 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 there is some sort of delivery, and Sheepsbane and Pigstick, despite dancing around the kitchen saying it's here, it's here, it's here, they don't seem to want to answer the door.
Well, it's... Okay, can we
they
turn
try?
off the dramatic music? It makes it seem like...
Yeah, what's at the door?
Can I poke my head out the upstairs window?
And when you open the door, standing outside is Kailana.
Oh.
Back already?
Alright, well, I don't think that's what they were waiting for.
Pigsticker and Sheepsbane look devastated.
Oh.
Come on, guys.
She looks over to you and... Thank you for agreeing to the oath. I hope the changes suited your needs. You'll continue your work with Torga?
We'll try.
What? I'm kind of curious what you expect us to do with him. Keep taking him on missions and make him feel powerful?
Perhaps even just listen to his story.
Be his hype man.
Somebody's got
I'd
to.
love to keep going on missions with him, so
Or just speak
I'm
with
not
him
mad
and
at
listen to his story. Find out why he won't return.
Okay.
There's something else I need you to do for me
Kailana.
as well. Yes?
I was going to say, you didn't come all the way here just for that.
No, I didn't.
You missed us.
Starling.
Didn't.
No.
She's been a close friend of mine for a long, long time. And I'm worried for her. What she did was against all the rules of the Sisterhood. Bringing you there without warning. Forcing the Sisterhood's hand. Somebody overheard her offering to you to go without taking the oath.
Oh. So that's what she got.
She might find herself in danger. Look out for her if you can. Please.
Get that damn Aarakocra.
What do you mean she'll find herself in danger?
I mean exactly that. She might find herself in danger. Just look out for her.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
She looks at you and she says, Sullivan, oaths are binding. I can't say anymore.
Can you write it down?
It doesn't work like that.
No.
Could you illusory script write?
But I would like you to give Starling this. And she hands you what appears to be a page out of a book.
What does
And
it say?
there is a list of names, none of which you recognize except halfway down. Starling's name is written and there is a line drawn through it.
I'll fold it up and put it away. I will see to it that she gets this.
Thank you. She will be able to answer many more of your questions now. Look after her. And she turns before she starts to cry, as you can tell that she's really emotional. And she steps away down the garden and she crushes something in her hand a little bit, or turns something in her hand. And then a teleportation circle appears in the center of the garden and she steps into it.
I was waiting for you to say she.
Oh, can you imagine it was a Darkstone? That would have been such a cool twist. It didn't happen.
Imagine.
No. And she steps into the teleportation circle and she disappears.
Oh, I was gonna offer her a hug.
Well, sadly, you'll have to go to the Sisterhood if you want to give her a hug, because that is where we are going
I'm
to
not
end.
doing that.
I'm going back to
Wait,
bed.
I had a thing.
Did you?
Honestly, very quick, guys. Callum was clanging away all night in the warehouse. I mean, the warehouse. The what is it called?
We have a warehouse?
Workshop. There you go.
Turning
Jesus.
into a
I
warehouse.
couldn't think of the word. Yes, clanging away. And, yeah. When you guys wake up in the morning, he very dramatically will call you all in and say, all right, everyone, check this shit out. And, pull down this gigantic curtain under which you see Sid, now 12 feet tall, 2 tons, wielding his flame-tongue greatsword one-handed, no problem. So yeah, Sid is now a large creature.
Is he posing?
Woohoo!
Holy guacamole, Batman.
I didn't turn him on yet.
Is it just-
He boots up, and he strikes a pose.
my
Oh, that is so
goodness.
cool.
The Shadowhunters pose, yeah.
Yeah.
Punches through the ceiling.
Did anybody
Yeah,
else,
literally.
just before we
Okay,
call it,
yeah,
actually,
I-
did anybody else get anything cool from leveling up to level 9? Like anything that would change how they
I just
how
got,
they look?
Bells.
You got
wait,
I
bells?
just got level 3 spells.
Oh,
Level 5
spells. I thought you said bells.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
I
yeah.
did a reroll.
I also heard bells.
I have grown bells. Cool. Yeah. As Carlana disappears and Sid sort of stands up, winds up in 12-foot mode, eyes glinting a strangely dangerous-looking red.
Bang.
Yeah, that is where we're going to end. And we will come to the timeless tradition of MVPs. Josh.
Oh, you didn't. Never mind.
Oh, I mean, I have quite a few. Like.
Pick one. If there's anything
one-
else, we'll come back to you. Sorry. That's how it works.
I'll go with Obi not wanting to go for the oath because Sullivan isn't.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was
I really
very
enjoyed that.
sweet.
I also enjoyed that. Michaela.
I liked the kobolds gambling, and their very stupid game that had no rules. They were just playing Calvin Ball. Yeah, I liked that. I liked the part where also Sullivan was like trying to let one win and rolled really badly on that deception. Yeah, that was very cute. Love kobolds.
Laura.
I mean, there was a lot of little moments in this one that I really enjoyed. The reasoning with Sullivan about the taking the oath and their conversation on the bridge afterwards. I'll give a tiny little shout out to the Aarakocra, who was watching us like a hawk.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Matt.
Liked or making a real life persuasion check to Josh during the break.
That's pretty good.
Liked how talking to the kobolds for fun led to Sullivan meeting one that'll actually provide a benefit in the future.
Yeah. There's always consequences to your actions. Some good, some bad. Some life-threatening. Zavrel. Jay, your MVP.
Oh, gosh, I really liked like the whole talk about whether to take the oath or not. Just kind of how deep we got into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, sorry, I thought there might be a more, furthermore to the sentence, but I agree with you. I think just the fact that it drew you guys in so well. I was really interested in what happened if you chose to not take the oath and dash for it. I just, without saying too much, the consequences would not primarily have fallen on your heads. Duff, your MVP.
Well, minor MVP goes out to all the faces this episode. I was paying attention mostly just because I wasn't talking as much this episode, but everyone's faces laughing at so many jokes made. I also really like keeping up anytime names are brought up. I'm immediately like, Rock is Sunderdown.
Yeah. One day that name will be useful.
Yeah. But my real MVP goes to Sullivan, like, breaking my expectations, because I really expected Sullivan to be the one who was just like, yeah, we should take the oath, guys. Like, it seems like it's the right thing to do, right? And then when he was just like, no, I don't think we should, we were all just like, oh.
Well, he's a man of honesty. Secrets are not his thing. Jamal.
Sucks at them. So we got that net one.
So there is another thing which I'm going to have to sort of reveal next time around. But what I am gonna, I'll come to that later anyway. For MVP though, there was a moment. Where are you from, Sogravia?
Yes, that was Matt's perfect answer, and the best bit about it is the kobold was just like, "Oh, me too," But yeah, that's just sort of it was perfectly kobold response.
Another MVP here is another little bit of intrigue, if I'm okay to take this extra little one. The person that overheard Starling, it's like, which one the fuckers was it? We've got a list of names.
Pretty sure it was the Aracocker that watched you like a hawk.
That's what I thought, but then I was also thinking it could be. I was also thinking it could have been the gay half-orc.
Oh, it could have been the gay half-orc. You never know. You never know, right?
The elephant.
And then Ashton chimes in. It could be the bartender, the elephant bartender.
Yes, the elephant bartender.
The elephant in the room.
It probably was the hawk, and now
it was the elephant in the barroom.
With hawk.
Josh, did you have anything left on your list?
Yes. I was so shocked when Ashton suggested cutting off Zavrel's hand. I was like, Laura, what are you saying?
Very logical response.
I know, I just didn't expect it from her. So that was really good. I also really liked the conversation with Ashton on the bridge. I also really liked the flowers, the subconscious growing of the poppies with Fox. That was very, very cool. And I also liked that he wrote Fox as his name, because as players, obviously we know that something's going on there, but as characters, we don't know anything.
You do know a very tiny bit. I think Fox did actually tell you not that long ago that Fox is what people call them. Not necessarily what their name is, but didn't give you any much more information to go on than that. Yeah. So which is perfect. Cool. No, I agree with you. I really enjoyed the moment with the poppies, even if it was sort of alongside the running joke of you go to bed. No, you don't. You go to bed. No, you don't. But yes, no, I did also really enjoy that moment. I also really enjoyed the debate over the whether to sign the oath or not, and the two stronger points coming from primarily Ashrin and Sullivan. That was really interesting to sort of witness and watch. I also really enjoyed the dragon chess, like just the idea of it, pulling it out and meeting them on their own ground, but also just the reference to dragon chess and the kobolds and whatever.
Well, I now need to remember that I don't have it because I pull it out a lot.
You'll have to buy a wooden set from Van Hania.
I have no idea what the game is actually like. Well, I always imagine it being like a wizard chess where the pieces like come alive and are animated.
Okay, I don't, but you know, each to their own.
Sullivan, you can think whatever you want.
Yeah,
You take
I just see it
whatever.
as like chess, but the pieces look like dragons. That's
Yeah.
literally all I'm at.
Well, that's not very imaginative.
No, but it's also this is also just when you look at the pictures that are
It's
drawn in
something
certain books
mass-produced.
of dragon chess, like
But I've
that
not
tends to,
seen.
yeah, exactly.
that, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I could give out so many MVPs this week, but I think I'm gonna go with another cop out. I'm gonna double up again, and I'm gonna give one to Laura and one to Josh for the interaction of the debate about signing the oath. And I think that's where we're gonna end. So if you guys would like to say goodbye,
Bye.
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 See ya.
Goodbye.
we shall see you soon.